The return of the Chronicles of Super EJ.
Super EJ.
Oh no.
What's the evil guy's name again? Mordefart?
Moldefart? Yeah, that's pretty much.
It was
pretty
like
much. It's so forgettable, generic, and terrible. It does not matter. We can call him Moldy Fart if we want to. He is Moldy Fart now.
Moldy Fart. We are entertained. What are you doing?
I don't know. Closing the door in the most dramatic way possible. Also, I should probably open this so you don't die. Yes, I'm standing on a swivel chair. Don't question it. Oh no!
Are you?
Ow, my knees! Plural!
Broke it. Bring! My alarm clock rang.
Bring. It's just. There's no italics, there's no bold, it's just bring.
Bring.
That's what an alarm clock says. Bring.
My alarm clock rang. I found myself crawling out of bed several days later when I had mostly recovered from my injuries.
I had injuries. Applaw.
Applaw.
I don't remember the injuries.
I don't either. Thursday. Ugh. I was still slightly tired, dizzy, sick. I had a lump on my head and a bandage on my arm, though my arm had stopped bugging me now. And I had some very disturbing new memories that won't affect you at all because you would probably just keep going.
Who needs PTSD? I have a time machine to keep me busy.
I had missed 3 days of school, meaning when I got my makeup work, it wouldn't be fun. The only reason I wanted to go to school at all was to see my friends and tell them about all my adventures, because they would believe that, I'm sure. Of course, it probably wouldn't be best to let them see proof, lest word get back to the government about my family's machine. Filching? Machine filching. What does that even mean?
I think filching is just stealing, pilfering, but that's a very odd way to put it.
Alrighty.
Oh, I just filched an entire time machine!
I hadn't told my parents about the what was the name? Moldy Fart encounter. Mostly because I knew Moldy Fart would be watching and would do something worse than cut me for revealing him.
Oh, would he now? This is just an abusive relationship, okay?
In a relationship with Moldy Fart.
Oh no!
I had already stopped mentioning the mysterious presence behind me to everyone before Moldy Fart even showed up. The force seemed to grow stronger and weaker at random times, but apparently only I felt it, since every time I mentioned the chill to Dad, he just looked confused.
I couldn't wait to see how my friends would react to my tales. Johan would play right along with it, of course, and would pretend he'd been with me after chewing me out for forgetting that part of the story. Erica, too, would enjoy
Who's
making...
Erica? I don't based off of?
No, she's a conglomeration of multiple people, and she's not a full, like, representation one-to-one of any of my friends anymore. Half the names I made up for this story, I just kind of went on the keyboard with, like, slamming my fist on the keyboard, and whatever it ended up with, I added a couple vowels to make it, like, pronounceable, and I said, good enough. And it's terrible. I'm so sorry. Erica, too, would enjoy making up extra variations of my story. Gwen, however, would just punch me or give me a strange look and tell me to live in the real world.
Are you
I
in
winced
an
at the
abusive
thought of
relationship
being
with her,
punched in
too?
the arm that had recently been sliced. Oh, sorry. Wait, which one? Which arm has the birthmark that has been sliced?
I think it's
I'm gonna
this
say
one.
the right one, yeah. Knowing Gwen, that's exactly where she'd punch me. She was fun to be with, though, which is more than I could say for some of my other so-called friends. Oh, what kind of friends do I have?
Why are you being
Bruh,
friends with him, then?
I don't know, because I am a weird child.
Some of my best friends also happen to be some of my worst enemies. This was because my closest friends and I like to play fight with each other. My more serious, less playful friendemies were the Jaspers, Gwen Leifson, and worst of all, Alexa Winson. I don't want to bring up any painful memories about her hurting me.
Did that actually happen? I don't know.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
But whenever she sees me, take cover!
Well, I know I have been injured by several friends back in the day, but I don't know if she was one of the ones that hurt me.
Are you sure Alexa isn't Amy? Because it says Ashley loves her because she hurts me.
I don't know.
And she teams up with anyone who wants to injure me.
All of them are conglomerations of that don't make any sense and don't matter. Don't try to, like, psychoanalyze it. It's fine.
What a wonderful brother-sister relationship. I try to save her while we're back in time, and she enjoys viewing me in pain. Oh, pity
I'm such a good brother, and she's such a mean sister.
Oh, no.
Wow. The Jaspers were total jokers, but they were fun. Michael...
Did you literally just take out the letter from his name?
That's not how you spell Michael, is it?
No, there's Michael. But there is a
I'm
name
sure
like that.
I didn't do that on purpose. I guarantee you that
I
was
think
not
there's a
on
name
purpose.
like that that's like in the Bible, maybe?
I mean, I'm sure there are ways to spell that, but like, I don't think I meant to.
Michael.
Michal, the youngest, was like a crazy Tasmanian devil tornado. That's way too many descriptors.
Are you okay?
And it doesn't tell me anything, honestly. Joseph, the middle child, was like an awesome super ninja, and Annie, the oldest and our only girl, was a total monster at any kind of sport and considered her crazy brothers extremely immature.
I like her because I know who she's based off now, so I like her.
The only reason I sometimes didn't enjoy their visits was that whenever Michael and whoever the frick he is, Michelle and Joseph were, everyone had to prepare for total war.
Oh, gosh. Screaming,
kicking, hitting, running, and destruction were a few of the boys' favorite tactics. That sounds like literally everything you can do. Though loud, they're some of my more challenging adversaries.
Why are you treating your school friends like a war or something?
I mean, I was an 11-year-old boy. Apparently violence is the language of the unheard, and I don't know.
Even my more playful friends have their jokingly hostile sides. Johan Henderson, is a good friend, along with Nathan and Gwen Leifson and Erica Jones. That's a good name. But 3 weeks ago, we had a vicious play fight.
Vicious! That was blood and murder! We don't talk about the one who was murdered. He's no longer a part of the friend group for obvious reasons.
Oh my gosh.
We jumped his body in the time machine.
I actually teamed up with the Leifsons and Johan, and they beat me soundly. I let them.
Why was I so like...
I don't know.
What was the word? Self-conscious? No, I can think of it.
Pretentious?
Insecure. Why was I so insecure that I had to go?
I let them, guys.
I totally let 4 people fight me and
I
win.
I could have held them off with my pinky finger.
With my 52 abs. But I decided to let them win on this occasion.
I'm so charitable, guys.
I hate superheroes so much.
They rolled me up in a blanket and locked me in my closet upside down while Erica just stood off to the side, shaking her head and laughing.
Wow.
If I had tried to resist, I maybe could have... Wait, I thought you said you left them.
Well, I let them do this,
okay.
but if I had, I could have shattered the stratosphere to escape and blasted the door in twain.
Oh my god. If I had tried to resist, I maybe could have stopped them, but I didn't even try. I just wanted to have fun.
Is it fun to be wrapped up and have all the blood rush to your head while you're upside down in a closet? Because that's not my idea of fun. Maybe I'm just older now and I would be more in pain as a result of it, but alright.
I've never taken fencing, karate, or any other type of combat training. I thought you said that you liked... I don't remember. But I'm very good at these type of things because Mary Sue, I have never taken lessons, but I'm so good. I'm so good, guys. I'm very good at those types of things, and as of yet, no one who I've actually tried to fight with has defeated me! Nevertheless, Michal and Joseph are a bit rambunctious. They hit hard as they don't know the meaning of the word stop. Perhaps next time I see them, we can call a truce and just talk and play games. Nah, I'm sounding the way Erica's little sister Nicole used to sound. Plus, Mom and Dad would have killed me if I had accidentally hurt anyone in my attempt to escape. I accidentally hurt you!
Why is everyone so violent in this story?
This is how you perceived your childhood, I guess.
Apparently.
Just once I wished that I could fight my hardest and win without injuring any of my friends. Because
you will shatter the planet.
I would break their bodies in half.
Hey, I thought, formulating an interesting plan in my head. I have the time machine.
Yes, you did.
Though I should have known how badly things would end, I made a rash decision that prized vengeance over safety. I ran downstairs and asked Mom if I could have some friends over at 3 o'clock. She agreed, apparently glad I wasn't going to use the machine anymore today. How wrong she was. In fact, I had rarely thought of anything but the machine lately.
At school, where I normally pay rapt attention and learn lots.
Because I'm a perfect child!
I nearly fell asleep learning absolutely nothing. It was, however, an interesting day to say the least. Not the lessons, but the classes. In math class, I looked directly at the teacher without seeing her in the slightest, eyes out of focus and mind on other things. Evan, are you all right? Asked Mrs. Johnson, jolting me back to reality. Yeah, I'm just tired, I replied, explaining my odd behavior. I'd been thinking about my planned mayhem for the day. I shook my head to regain my focus, then looked at the clock. 40 more minutes to go until the end of class. Gah! I synchronized my watch, which was off by a bit because of the time I had spent in the past and the future. Whoa, that's a... He said a bit? I now knew that when my watch... What? I now knew that when my watch was said that the time... Can I read? I now knew that when my watch was said that the time was 8:22 a.m., it would be time to go to our next class. 39 minutes to go. I got out a piece of paper and began to make an untidy list. When I finished, it read, Lord Moldifart. Who is he? What kind of horrible venom-spitting creature is he? Why would you assume that? How did he get into the machine if the parchment said he needed rescuing? Did I free him by using the time machine? Why does he want me dead, especially if I might have freed him by using his machine? Why can't he kill me yet? I wanted answers to these questions, and the only way I knew I could get definite answers was to either use the machine or talk to Moldy Fart himself. But since I'd concluded that he was not a very nice guy, I decided to use the machine to try to figure some stuff out later. But first I had to get home. 35 minutes to go. I was brought back to attention as Mrs. Johnson yelled at me!
Ah!
I blushed, realizing that the whole class was looking at me. The teacher gave me a look, knowing something was wrong. I was usually the model student, and anyone could see that something had changed. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same over spring break. As I feigned an attentive attitude, weird, and the class resumed, I heard Gwen give a small gasp from the seat behind me. I turned to find that she'd started to read my list over my shoulder. I quickly flipped it over so she couldn't see.
Do not cheat.
Evan!
You cheat.
Evan, gimme! Gwen hissed.
Bruh.
Holding out her hand, her face was a mixture of rage and fear. Why is she afraid? It's just a list that says moldy fart.
Because she totally knows things and she's not going to tell us anything.
Amazing! I pulled the paper away, confused, assuming she already read the whole list. I replied in the form of a question.
What? Do you know who he is? I mean, what? Do you know who he is?
Taken aback, questioning look.
How far did you read?
Just the name. But Evan, she replied, trying to snatch the page. I had anticipated this, but Gwen still managed to grab the top part of the page. It ripped off loudly, leaving me with the bottom half. I still had everything from what kind of horrible to the bottom. I quickly crumpled the sheet and silently ripped it up. Luckily, the ripping had attracted little attention, and I turned back to Gwen, unobserved. Yeah, she glared at me, holding up the top of the page, which only asked who he was. I gave a smug grin.
I ripped it up.
What do you know? Gwen asked, tossing the strip of paper back at me.
Flutter. His name and nothing else, I admitted. I was pretty clueless about him.
Where did you hear his name? She asked. I knew I couldn't well say. I found it written on rotting parchment in a time machine, so I rationalized my lie.
I heard my mom say it to someone, but when I asked her what it was, she wouldn't say. I fibbed. Apparently good enough for Gwen. She sighed, leaned back in her chair, and shook her head, as though annoyed. She was apparently done with this conversation, so I turned back to Mrs. Johnson, who hadn't noticed my lack of rapt attention. I wondered what Gwen knew about all this. 33 minutes left by my watch. I found myself staring off into space again, and I realized that pay attention was not a viable option. 30 minutes left. My head began to throb. I couldn't stand it. When would we be free? I waited as long as I possibly could stand it, then looked at the clock again. I banged my head on the desk repeatedly, then looked up again. 28 minutes left.
And the teacher just
How's the escape plan coming?
This is like turning into a Calvin and Hobbes strip now.
Mm-hmm.
I felt my arm beneath my bandage grow hot, and I looked down at it in confusion.
Hello?
I pulled up my sleeve, revealing my arm. My muscled arm! Wrapped in a bloody bandage. A few of my classmates, including Gwen, stared questioningly, but I waved them off. This distraction had allowed the spot of skin where my birthmark had... What? This distraction had allowed the spot of skin where my birthmark had been to cool off again, somehow. I rolled down my sleeve again and continued to watch the clock. The slowness of time's procession began to stress me after a mere 2 minutes, and I became angry with the clock, willing time itself to go faster.
I have the power over time itself.
My birthmark, or what was left of it, grew hot again, a foreshadowing of something, and I suddenly became more tired, like I just had my energy sapped. I felt like I'd just woken up from a long sleep, and the next thing I knew, something was wrong. I looked around. Mrs. Johnson seemed to be thinking what to say, her mouth half open and not moving. Then I realized the silence. Total silence. I looked around at the students. They were frozen, staring at various things. One was blinking, or closing his eyes. Another was throwing a pen to a student near him. Then I realized no one was moving. Everyone was stuck. Frozen in a single instant of time.
The pen that my classmate had thrown was suspended in air. The student receiving it had his eyes half shut. A kid in the act of falling off of his desk was frozen in a position impossible to stay in during normal circumstances. I looked back on my chair. I didn't see myself frozen there. I looked outside the window. People outside the school were moving. Perhaps it was only in the building? I looked out the window on the door. Seeing a blonde girl staring in, looking horrified. Behind her, students were walking by, and the girl outside fidgeted nervously. I walked towards the door, crashing into the pen stuck in midair. Wow, a flaw. I tried to move the pen, grabbing it out of the air. It stayed stuck. I tried hanging on to it with both hands, lifting all my weight up, and doing chin-ups. Everything in the room besides me and the air in the room had become frozen in time and space. How had this happened? Why could I still move? Did the machine have a side effect? Is Moldy Fart mad at me for almost exposing him to Gwen or something? I thought, walking to the door in
I love that your question is like, is he mad at me? Is my scary boyfriend mad at me?
Oh no. I tried to open the door, but the handle was frozen in time. I tried throwing myself at the window, but this came to no effect. I shrugged at the girl outside the door, and I began to panic inwardly.
You know what I pictured when you guys were on the upside sides of the door?
Donna and the doctor?
Doctor Who.
I stood on top of the student who was falling off his desk, who couldn't move an inch. Wow. My watch now said that there were 5 minutes to go until class change, but would I be able to get out? Would I be trapped in this room for the rest of my life? I walked to the front of the class and waved my hand in front of Mrs. Johnson's face. Nothing happened. I checked my watch again. Oddly enough, it read that the class change was in 10 seconds. Just 1 minute ago. Wait, what? Just 1 minute ago. 987654310 went my watch, faster than it should have been moving, and suddenly the world sprang back into motion. The soundless room filled with sound again. The motionless students were moving again. The window shattered. What? The door opened. The pen that had been thrown plummeted to the ground extremely quickly. The student that had been falling fell out of his chair violently, knocking his desk over. The bell rang, signaling the end of class, and I found myself at the front of the classroom, having been in my seat an instant before, according to my astonished classmates. Was all that one sentence? Evidently, no one else seemed to notice that they had been frozen for 20 minutes, but they all noticed.
20-minute.
They all noticed that the things I had done while they were frozen. I looked up at the clock, which said it was the right time to go.
What? But I just looked up at the clock. We had 20 minutes left. How on earth? Mrs. Johnson asked. While most of the students didn't question how, only caring that the class was over.
Alright.
The kids closest to the window noticed its spontaneous... Only the kids closest to the window noticed it shatter?
Well, if there was that much chaos already, like there's suddenly students pouring into the class, windows shatter, a man falls and crumples to the ground under the weight of my massive biceps, and a pen just like, boom. Maybe it was unnoticed because I teleported and distracted people.
The guy who had fallen off his chair was swearing someone had kicked him in the head. People were amazed at my teleportation. Why is that capitalized? To the front of the class, and the kids with the pen watched as it inexplicably changed direction.
Wow.
Wait, kids, the bells must be off or something, Miss Johnson assumed weakly.
Wait, don't leave.
Wait, the bells must be off. Okay. As kids for the next period came into the class, Gwen gave me a suspicious, horrified, and angry look, so she's like,
what did you do?
Give me a look that's suspicious, horrified, and angry.
I just look disgusted.
I love these descriptions of emotions.
That's
so
too
good.
many emotions to have in one face. Hold on.
Unless it's like a transition. She's like,
Oh my goodness.
okay, then she slowly left the room and charged down the hall. Oh, that's a girl. Mrs. Johnson? The girl from outside the door asked shyly, obviously nervous.
Yes, dear, Miss Johnson replied.
Well, Miss
Hey, that's a real
Summers,
name.
that is a real name.
Why did I forget some names?
I don't know. Miss Summers sent me to your room to get your stapler about 25 minutes ago, but when I came to the door of
Gotta
your
be
room...
specific for the exposition.
You should still never see it for 25 minutes anyway. You and your class weren't moving. You were frozen. The kid over there was stuck in slow motion, she began, but I ducked out of the room.
I was
had
totally
the
not
feeling
there.
I had caused whatever anomaly of time we
What
just
do you mean you
experienced.
feel like?
Because I'm powerful!
I didn't even notice that I had done this with my magic that has happened several times already.
I mean, I experienced a similar exhaustion just before my inexplicable teleportation back in Jericho.
In English and Science, with Miss Summers and Mr. Wilson.
I thought it said Wilkinson, but it's just Wilkson.
I was sure to pay rapt attention to the lesson. How? How? You struggled so much in math that you freaking broke the time-space continuum again. I was sure to pay rapt attention to the lesson and not wish for time to go faster at all, and nothing happened. At lunch period, I asked Johan, who is very tall, Alexa, Nathan, and Gwen to come to my house at 3. They all could come, so I made more plans in my head the rest of the period. By 6th period, news of the 3rd period madness in Mrs. Johnson's room had spread. I wasn't paying much attention again in history with Mrs. Grace, as I was preoccupied with several more important things than history. Except for the fact that history would be a good thing for me to know, so I wouldn't be confused when I ended up somewhere with a machine.
Oh my gosh.
I sullenly stared out the window, into a parking lot, beginning to feel the same stress I'd felt back in 3rd period. I began to daydream with, what would happen if... scenarios, which are totally not self-explanatory, so I need to explain them to you. They're basically things where I tried to imagine what would happen if such and such happened.
What?
As I was thinking, what would happen if the car in the parking lot exploded in a huge fireball and began to float around the parking lot as a ball of flame, I got really tired, like I just run a triathlon, which I have also totally done. And I have a comparison for that. Oh no, I thought just as the class heard a large boom.
Oh my goodness.
Outside, the car exploded and began to levitate, moving around the parking lot and spreading flames with the leaking gasoline dripping from the inferno of flying debris. Once again, I added something for absolutely no reason that did not need to be there, but apparently it was just so good an idea I couldn't resist throwing it away.
Oh, blowing up a car is such a good
Wow,
idea.
it's so cool. I yelled as everyone else looked out the window to see what was going on.
Back to your seats, please, Mrs. Grace commanded calmly.
Calmly.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
She glanced out the window, did a double take, and then, being the ever-cool teacher she was, said, don't worry about that. I'm sure the firemen are just having a drill or something, because the firemen set things on fire to do their drills.
Levitating things on fire.
She sputtered, but she couldn't give a reason to ignore it. Of course.
Neither could I.
So everyone continued to watch a flying, flaming car float around the parking lot.
Which has no impact on the rest of the plot in the slightest, apparently.
What if there had been someone in it, I suddenly thought. You
Oh no!
Scenario.
You killed my thing! I'm gonna put someone in the car if I'm doing what would happen if scenarios.
Which, if you didn't know what that is, it's when you think what if.
Wow.
I imagine the car
No
going
one's
back
ever
to
done that
normal,
before. Wow.
unburned, and anyone that had been injured healed. Then I felt it come into reality. Okay.
I can just do that now,
Yep.
but I never use that power again, do
That
I?
would be handy. Just imagine Moldy Fart dying or something.
Ah, yes, I imagine that the world is fixed, yeah.
Yep. Before every one of the amazing things that had happened today, a certain amount of energy was taken from me. This time it had used enough of my energy for me to go unconscious, and I just glimpsed the car extinguish and fall back to the ground as I blacked out. What a descriptive passing out.
Wow, that's so great. My first thought when I woke up was, oh good heavens, I have superpowers. My second and third were, oh man, I just ruined someone's car, and oh wait, this is probably just Moldy Fart messing with me for some reason. But why is he in my head? All I knew was, whatever had just happened, it had been my fault. I looked around the nurse's office, disoriented. Disorientated.
Disorientated.
I didn't see anyone near me, so I simply got up and walked to 7th period. Okay.
Cool.
Gwen had been with me in 6th period and had seen me faint. Now, upon meeting me in 7th study hall, instead of asking whether I was okay like I expected, or trying to flirt with me like she usually did, which I hadn't even noticed until about a month ago because I am a stupid man. Oh wait, but I now ignored, or even just giving me a shocked expression, she did something weird.
She kissed you! Sorry, that's what my brain went to.
Let's hope not. What weird thing did she do? She just looked at me, shook her head, and warned me to be more careful. Also, maybe have a reason before you commit magical arson. What the heck? Why would I just say, be more careful as you levitate flames?
How silly of you to do that.
Why does she even know it's me? How does any... Oh, what the freaking... I don't even...
What the freaking...
Anyway. I began to ask her what she meant when the bell rang, conveniently ending my sentence before it began. Something weird was happening in my life.
No
2
way.
weeks ago, I hadn't even dreamed of time travel working or magical powers or invisible presences or anything. I hadn't dreamed of anything. I had no dreams in my life. Now I felt like my life was infinitely more complicated, which it kind of is. Now a writer's got command of you and doing crazy things with the status quo. During the remainder of 7th period, I contemplated the many things I had to think about.
Once finally home, I carried out the next phase of my revenge plan.
Revenge!
I called the Jaspers and Erica, who could come to my 3 o'clock massacre. What the heck are you planning?
I think I'm gonna kill people. Oh no.
The Jaspers went to a different school, and Erica was being homeschooled once again. Erica had been homeschooled like me until the 6th grade, when she too began to go to my school. We always used to sit together, and we greatly enjoyed each other's company. We preferred to eat lunch outside, rain or shine, because the cafeteria was loud and dark and depressing. Sometimes it got cold, but we stayed outside, even if it was just the two of us. We were probably crazy, but we had fun, and a few friends joined us now and then, until Erica's family couldn't afford to keep her in school anymore, and she went back to homeschooling earlier this year. This made me sad, because I now ate lunch alone often, since few others liked me enough for who I was, even though I'm perfect, to sit with me
Maybe
out
that's
in the
why
cold.
everyone's so violent towards me.
Maybe.
Stop being so perfect!
I'm gonna give you applause. Luckily, I would see Erica again today.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, Nick Decker, who I'd forgotten to previously mention, couldn't come.
Thank you for telling me about this guy that
gotta
couldn't
make it
come.
more realistic by saying that guy can't make it.
Whoever that is.
I think it was Michael. And,
You mean Michelle?
Oh, what sound was that I just made? But amazingly, every other one of my frenemies or other friends was able to make it. While trying not to laugh like a maniac or break into a grin, I ran to the machine and set the coordinates for a few minutes before 3 o'clock. I opened the hatch to find my plan already in action as I had planned.
My plan in action as
My plan is planning as properly. Properly.
Oh my goodness. 7 more machines had appeared in the yard, and 7 more me's, or me numbers 1 through 7, or Evans, or myself, or however.
Stop! Too much! You can stop at the first exclamation.
Chill.
Oh.
Or however you would refer to yourself as multiple other persons.
To be fair, there isn't an English way to do that because no one should be stupid enough to write this.
Exactly. Were standing in ranks saluting me. Come on, everybody, I shouted. Let's show them what I or we can really do, I yelled as I charged through the back door with them
I thought
close
the whole
behind.
point was I let people win because I didn't want to accidentally hurt them. Now I'm multiplying myself so I can have multiple instances of myself murdering my friends, all of them at once, just to prove and rub in their faces that I am the supreme lord of all super agent.
Don't go to Ethan's house if he ever invites
Please
you.
don't. I will apparently murder you.
I charged through the back door with them close behind, but then motioned for them to be quiet. So you charge through and you're like, shh, it's okay.
Well, so I give this great speech and rousing battle cry, and they're all like, "Yeah!" Okay, stop now.
Yeah,
I'll go.
Bring down the hype.
Okay.
Wait in the backyard. Stay hidden until I yell, I told them. They nodded and left.
At 3, I heard exactly 3, because that's how real life works. I heard the doorbell ring. I ran upstairs and locked up my room/lab. I didn't want the battle that was sure to ensue to destroy my telescope. Microscope. What
are you doing?
Why would I need petri dishes? What 13-year-old, whoever I am anymore. What 13-year-old is doing experiments that require petri dishes in their room and doesn't have their parent go, okay, let's get rid of this mold.
Moldy fart.
Moldy fart. Oh no, that's where he's... Oh no, it's all exposed. Or other experiments that I, for some reason, am doing. I then ran back downstairs to find Joseph and Mikkel weighed down with about 100 pounds worth of Nerf guns, plastic lightsabers, and other violent weapons.
Violence! Oh, wow. Before they could begin to murder me, I screamed in mock terror, ah! And ran out of the back door into the backyard. The other myselves had moved the machines down the hill to the time everyone else arrives. Currently, so the enemies wouldn't see them. How thoughtful! What? I was pelted with foam bullets as I grabbed a plastic baseball bat and used it Jedi-like to deflect most of the bullets while dodging the rest because you are so coordination.
Amazing. You have much to learn in the ways of combat, I taunted.
Catch! Annie shouted, throwing me a frisbee. I caught it in my free hand and began to use it like a shield. Captain America! Blocking the bullets. I threw the frisbee back to her after the little maniacs had stopped a moment to reload, then ran to a tree and scampered up it like a squirrel. Some say I'm half squirrel, half monkey. I let the tree branches block the small foam missile. I dropped the bat to the ground.
Okay. Annie snuck up between them and shouted, "Boo!" They jumped and turned to face her, but they had already... Wait, what? But she had already jumped away from between them, and they were left accidentally shooting each other.
Wow.
I just love happy endings, Annie beamed, leaving them to get in a fight with each other. I laughed as she threw the frisbee at the tree. I had her to climb down, though, and she didn't... I'm so fast at climbing. Oh. So it sailed all the way down the hill, and I ran down after it. Then I tripped over a rock protruding from the red dirt, and I tumbled head over heels over head over heels over head over heels over head over heels over head down the hill.
Wow.
Good job.
I'm okay, I shouted up at the top of the hill.
That's okay.
I brushed myself off, grabbed the frisbee, and began to walk back up the hill. My mom was running down the hill, presumably to see if a hospital trip was necessary. Never for Super EJ!
Never.
And I gave them the thumbs up sign, which, if you did not know what that is where you put the thumb up.
Oh.
I don't think she bought it though, because just at that moment I tripped on that stupid rock again.
Of course. Then the Jasper kids kept up a steady stream of jokes just for the occasion, but then I heard the familiar honk of a car horn, and I rushed to see the next victim. Alexa, who attacked at first sight, was waiting impatiently outside the door. I let her in and told her to wait for the others after defending myself from her merciless rage. Why are we friends? Oh, why in the world is she even my friends at all, I thought, wondering why she seemed to loathe me so much. Then next came Erica and Johan, and lastly the Leifsons. Gwen brought her bow and arrows. Are they play tools or are they actual, like, murderous? Okay, whatever. And her other weapons she collected. Oh, no, apparently they're real, I think. As well as several plastic ones. Okay, that weren't able to exist in real life? Excuse me?
Huh?
Like lightsabers or something?
Oh, yeah,
mostly ones from the manga book she read and was obsessed with. That's also an essential detail.
Mm-hmm. Joseph, Michow, you've brought enough weapons to supply an army. Good. We're going to have a full-scale war, I announced.
I'm about to celebrate becoming an only child.
Oh gosh. Everyone against me. At these words, everyone either grinned, the Jaspers, scoffed and laughed at my stupidity, Nathan, Erica, and Johan, or reached for a weapon while rejoicing.
Rejoicing! We're going to murder Super EJ!
Gwen, Ashley, and Alexa. Ashley began bouncing up and down, screaming, "Let it begin!" And Erica had to hold her back. Erica was so cool in that she would just go along with whatever everyone else wanted to do.
Do I cop a fetal? Wait, hold on. What is this term? Do I detect a fetal of Crushing. What?
What are you trying to
I
say?
don't know how to name.
Do I cop a feel?
Never mind.
Catch feelings?
Yes, that's what I was. What she's.
Cop a feel.
Oh, please murder me. Against my maniacal wishes, Gwen and Nathan converted to my side. Alright.
Okay.
I guess they wanted to make sure I didn't hurt myself too badly. Darn, I had really been looking forward to my revenge for the long minute I had spent upside down in the closet escaping. It only took me 1 minute to escape from that? Bruh.
And yet now you have vengeful desires towards all of your
Apparently.
friends.
If only I had just not planned this entire adventure. If my mind hadn't been clouded by my childish urge to prank my friends, self-reflection, we would all have been so much safer. But as it was, I'd been a fool, and I'd let my pursuit of adventure and excitement supersede my desires to keep everyone safe from potential disasters.
Nothing's even happened yet. Why are you, like, freaking out?
This is foreshadowing.
Oh,
This is me.
Preemptive foreshadowing, because Super EJ doesn't even need bad things to happen to him to know what his character development's gonna be.
No, because remember, this is all being written as though, oh, this already happened, and I'm telling what happened in my life. So this is him adding in, oh, by the way, this is not going to go well. Oh,
Hello,
Papa Monkey. You have brought a cat.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Stormy. Happy birthday to you.
Look out for the fire there, cat. Don't go woof. I grabbed 8 weapons and headed to the backyard, followed by Nathan, Gwen, and the others. I laid the 7 other weapons out in the yard behind me and turned to face the wall of friends/enemies I had only dreamed about in nightmares. But this time, I had a plan, a technique, and a secret weapon. I think those are all the same thing. This time, I was going to win.
For a good 2 seconds, each line stared at the opposing side. Then I yelled, "Attack!" and my hidden arsenal burst forth. The battle cries, foam bullets, and charge of my friends, including Gwen and Nathan, halted. They all stared, open-mouthed, at the 8 different Evans, 6 of which had popped out of nowhere and were now grabbing the weapons I left them. Johan dropped his weapon in shock. Michal screamed and ran back to the house. And the best one by far, Alexa fainted!
Wow!
I wish I had got it on video. Apparently, one of the myselves had, though... What? One of the myselves had, though, as he waved from a tree where he could see everything with my video camera. Whoa, okay.
Blackmail. The opponents regrouped from the first shock, and they, after waking Alexa with ice-cold water another me had put there beforehand, genius, charged. The myselves and I charged as well, and everyone on my side went for someone. One myself and Gwen went for Johan, Nathan tackled Joseph, and I went for the soaking wet Alexa. How did you do this? She cried at no particular myself. Oh, I'll just go back in time and do this all over again, I replied. The looks on your faces were priceless.
We both had plastic lightsabers. She was pretty good and might have been able to beat me because of my injured arm. I am handicapped. Had she not been so confused.
Wow,
After parrying the blade,
jerk.
I tripped her and flipped her lightsaber away.
How
did you get so good? She asked.
Because I am cheating in so many ways. I don't know. I just am. Good battle, I responded. I looked around. All the other myselves had finished their fights except for the ones fighting Johan and Erica. I ran up to help them with all the other myselves. What? I ran to help... I don't care to parse the logic. I darted through Johan's legs and jumped as high as I could, tackling him. This threw him off balance and he fell, nearly squashing Erica. She tripped over Johan's head and the battle ended with one of the other myselves catching her to make sure she didn't hit her head on the concrete patio. Gasp. Of course, she then got pushed over by Ashley, but he didn't mind. Who? Me? Johan? I don't even know who he is anymore. Afterward, we all talked and had fun. Everyone's just casual with the fact that I've duplicated myself 7 times.
The entire revenge scheme had obviously been a bad idea.
Yes.
I unfortunately had to tell them how I duplicated myself, and my time machine was no longer a secret. Okay.
Congrats.
This was very bad, as I now had a ton of people wanting to try it. What did you expect to happen?
Bruh.
I gave my friends a tour of the machine. Ashley was too scared to approach the machine for fear of it taking off. I'm traumatized now.
She got more traumatized than I did!
Honestly. But this in no way satisfied their thirst for danger. Your friends are crazy. You're crazy.
Everyone's crazy. We're all 11, apparently.
I couldn't let them all take rides, so I decided to let a few ride each time they came to our house. Everyone else wanted to take the first ride desperately, but Gwen's reaction at seeing the machine was odd. Not only did her mouth hang open for a moment, and she said, "What the? How in the world?"
How is that abnormal?
But she seemed genuinely frightened of the machine. How is that abnormal? She seemed to know what it was capable of. She insisted upon hearing the whole story of what had happened to me since we got out of school on the Friday before break. I gave everyone a quick overview, going into little detail and skipping huge chunks of the story. Gwen just nodded during my tale. She didn't seem to be surprised about the machine's existence, only that I had found it. It was for this strange reason that she and her brother became the first passengers of our first expedition. Gwen was very reluctant to come, but Nathan talked her into it. Then, after a lot of fighting and arguing, Johan and Erica joined the first ride as well. The other primary passengers and I made arrangements with their parents for the first team additions to sleep at my house. My mom and I would drive them to school in the morning, and their parents would pick them up after school. So much information!
Unnecessary detail!
Oh my goodness.
Bruh. So like I said, Alexa and the Jaspers and whoever freaking else was there, they're just gone now. Nobody cares.
Okay, so the only ones we need to care about are Gwen, Johan, Erica, Nathan? Is Nathan
And
there?
Nathan.
Who's Nathan?
He's apparently there too, but I think he's in the background most of the time. This caper had got me thinking, could I use the machine to never do schoolwork again? Could I just get papers and stuff delivered to me from the future? That would be awesome! But what would happen if a loop occurred? What if my future self gives me a paper to turn in, and after I get the paper back and get graded for it, I copy the paper and go back and give it to the past self that I had just been? I never would have had to do it. But then that wouldn't work. When would the compilation of information have been created? Never. It would have just randomly appeared, which doesn't make sense. I guess that sort of thing is impossible. Loops can't be started. I guessed I had to do my homework after all. Bummer. Eventually, everyone but the first trip passengers had to leave, and me and the 6 other myselves went back into the machines to go back to 3 o'clock. I went back to the machine and went back in time to 3 o'clock. I ran to line up with the rest of the myselves, and I saluted the original one. I hid behind a tree after moving the machine down the hill. This is irrelevant. I watched myself fall down the hill, and this time around the battle, I fought Mikhail, and then the next time, with the help of Gwen, I fought Johan, then Ashley, who was nearly in tears. Oh, I'm traumatizing you again. It got old doing the same stuff over and over again.
Just like reading it.
Yep, with a different perspective, fighting a different person. And the 8th time, when I had fought everyone, I grabbed my video camera and climbed a tree to watch. This was more entertaining, and now I could remember this forever.
You
Except
sadist.
I didn't. What? I was too tired to do anything else afterward, and I headed upstairs to do my homework. I had homework after. Oh my freaking! How long of a day did I just create for myself?
Very, I guess.
If I spent the whole day, like from 3 o'clock to whenever everyone left, and then I lived that segment 8 times, that's like a really, really long day. In addition to having gone to school and letting a car on fire. Whatever. So Gwen and Erica slept in Ashley's very messy room, and Nathan and Johan took my immaculate room. Every single word of this entire story is just loaded with sass and stupidity. Johan took the bed while Nathan and I slept on the floor in sleeping bags. All was prepared, and thus began the life-threatening adventure-seeking. Again. Yay. There should be an again there, because that's not where it began.
Chapter 6. Friday before school, I was sure Mom was asleep, so I went and woke Dad gently, telling him it was time. We'd let him in on our expedition because he was in support of the Time Machine Adventures, because he's a terrible parent that has no concept of safety. Although it must have been pretty obvious to Mom what we were doing. Why else would we have a 4-person sleepover on a school night when we had but 1 hour left to play? Mom must have been waiting for something to happen, but it was now 3 in the morning and she was sure to be asleep. I crept down the hall, silent as a shadow, except for the creaky spot, to Ashley's room. If Ashley wakes up or wakes up Mom, I thought, I don't know what I'll do. A hand touched my shoulder and I jumped, whirling and landing, ready to fight. A finger was pushed to my lips. Shh, Gwen
Hello,
hissed.
where's this disembodied finger coming from?
Do you want your mom to wake up?
Excuse?
Why is that in quotation?
Excuse me?
Now, who are you? What?
Bruh!
What's going on right now?
This is more implying stuff that freaking never
So
gets
your
explained
mom is not
yet.
your mom?
Excuse me? What do you mean, who? I'm Evan, I whispered, pushing her hand away.
You know what I mean. What you might not know, though, is that the machine is dangerous. Did you know that
I
after almost
figured
killing
that
your
out.
family 3 million times? You can't use it the way you are. Don't you realize what could happen?
No, not in the slightest. You can tell me.
Either you have not been informed,
Yeah,
you are a
please
total
inform me.
idiot,
Yes, I
or
am.
you have no idea about anything.
That's also the same
including
thing as to
limitations of
not
your
being
power.
informed. Oh, wait, I have power?
She hissed. I stared at her blankly for a minute. She had braces, blue eyes hidden by glasses, and curly reddish-orange hair, which went well with her fiery expression that clearly communicated, "I'm going to hurt you unless you tell me." What a sensible place to put a description of
What
her.
are...
Evan, as an honorary galactic agent.
Oh my gosh.
A 13-year-old galactic agent. I hereby order you to tell me how you came by the machine and how you managed to break the enchantment on it, Gwen ordered commandingly. I was taken aback at her seriousness in telling me these impossibly ridiculous lies. I started to laugh, thinking this was another of Gwen's make-believe tales or something. I looked back at Gwen, who had a stony cold glare on her face and her arms crossed. She wasn't kidding. I gave her a confused look, which Gwen then returned as she apparently noticed something about my face. She narrowed her eyes and stared intently at me, leaning closer. She seemed to suspect something about me, but I couldn't figure out what.
Oh, it intentionally holds on to secrets for way too long, and they really should give explanation. But the fact is, it doesn't make sense anyway, so I was trying to procrastinate giving the explanation for as long as possible. So, yeah. The only reason it's not explained is if it were explained, the actual main plot would move ahead too fast and I wouldn't have time for all these fun adventures and hijinks that don't matter in the slightest.
Fighting with Nerf guns that nobody cares about.
All the
because-
stuff that doesn't matter in the slightest has to happen because I had the idea for it and we can't just throw
Because you wanted
it
to
away.
live out your fantasies of actually
Yeah.
being able to best your friends in these battles.
Yes, because I was so traumatized by
Sam says, with all
Not
due
being able
respect,
to hit back.
what the frick?
I know. Gwen, I don't know what you're talking about, I told her. This rekindled her agitation, and I could tell she was about to yell at me or hit me. Before she could do either, hands clapped over both of our mouths. Where are these mysterious
Lots
disembodied
of
hands
fingers
coming
just
from?
coming out of somewhere.
Gwen jumped, kneeing Johann in the stomach and landing on his chest, ready to
Jeez.
punch him. Holy cow, this man is about to die. I merely twisted out of Erica's grasp, and we just stared at Johann and Gwen, who were now looking at each other. Johann in horror, Gwen in anger, and both in confusion. She got off of him and helped him to his feet, pushing her glasses up her nose. She quickly extracted the extra strap Johann and I, the crazy nerds at our school. Oh, she quickly extracted the extra strap that Johann and I, the crazy nerds at our school, had built for her so that her glasses would not slide down her nose constantly.
Wow, how
from
nerdy
her
to make
pocket.
like a string.
Gwen made a sheepish apology to Johann, who still lay on the ground in horror. She sighed, walking back up to me and attaching the strap to her glasses. Wait, I thought she helped him up. Or did she offer to help him up? No, she helped him to his feet. Look, helped him to his feet. And now he's still laying on the ground. Oh, continuity error!
You found the machine, which somehow means that you're strangely powerful, or lucky, or something. I didn't think I'd live to see the day when the machine was found, and the fact that you managed to get it here is beyond me, but never mind. Tell me everything you know, she ordered. Johann, Erica,
I
and
know
I stared.
nothing.
Stared at
Because
one
you
another.
haven't told me anything! Sorry. Nathan and Dad broke the pause by walking into the group. I motioned for them to be quiet, then told them what had happened the last couple of minutes. Everyone began asking Gwen questions at once, but she wouldn't answer a single one, besides to say, "Apparently you all know nothing."
But if you don't know, I'm certainly not gonna tell you.
So we just continued with our mission of getting the machine in total silence, even after all that violence and
Yeah.
yelling at her and whatever. I wish now that I had the sense to stop the adventures before we got into danger. But alas, too bad.
We waited for Dad to come out of the restroom. Gwen popped her knuckles in anticipation. I cringed and pretended to glare at her. She grinned at me, knowing I had never liked the sound.
Okay.
Then went
Doesn't
back
bother me now.
to scowling and sulking. I sighed and began pacing up and down the shiny interior of the machine. But then I accidentally tripped on Nathan's foot, which sent me up to the control panel where I nearly hit the activation level.
Oh, luckily we didn't, because that would have been a stupid ex machina to have that happen
so silly.
again. Because there's been so many times where the lever was accidentally hit already and sent us somewhere we didn't want to go. That would be so dumb to do that same writing device again, wouldn't it?
Who would do that?
Wouldn't it?
Who would do such a
That would
thing?
be so dumb if it happened again, wouldn't it?
Yeah, man.
That would be so freaking dumb if we went somewhere we didn't want to go again because someone hit the lever by accident.
Oh my goodness, they need to like duct tape this lever, man.
Maybe you four should go see if Dad is done yet, I suggested to the passengers as I tried to figure out what dials I had messed up. My friend scowled, and Nathan was about to protest, but I looked at him meaningfully, and Gwen dragged him out of the machine. Gwen closed the hatch with a metallic click, leaving Gwen and me alone. Uh-oh, I thought. She looked at me like she was going to kill me the way... Wait, what? She looked at me like she was going to kill me the same way she almost did Johan, and I backed away. But I had forgotten that I was right next to the lever.
my god!
I bumped it, and whoosh!
Whoosh! Oh no, solo mission with girls.
Once again, it is just whoosh. There is no bold, there is no italics, it is just whoosh. That is the sound the machine wakes.
The last times in the Upside Down, you went to the Upside Down.
The last times in the Upside Down while riding a twisting, looping roller coaster inside a spinning washing machine during liftoff ride.
Why?
Why would you make that sentence? That is not even grammar.
It is not.
I had been strapped in, grabbing something, or had been wedged behind the control panel with two Israelites on my dad.
Oh my god.
But this time, I was bumped and smashed against every wall, floor, and ceiling hard. Very hard. 1,000,000 times. Wow. A gazillion times. Not to mention the panel, the bench, Gwen. Ow.
Oh my gosh.
And the screen. Why did I say that one was more painful? At least that one's squishy, whereas everything else is wham, wham, smash, smash. But for some reason, just the thought of like two skulls smashing together, that sounds a lot more painful than hitting metal. When we finally stopped somersaulting and screaming, we checked ourselves over to make sure we weren't hurt, and somehow we weren't. And Gwen, though she was terrified obviously, began yelling at me. I, naturally, then began yelling back, defending against her accusations, and we were at the verge of fighting when a soft knock came from outside and we froze. A long pause, in which Gwen began chanting to herself that we weren't where she thought we were, preceded my cautious opening the hatch. A tan little girl wearing a lei of flowers stood there, bare feet and seemingly Hawaiian clothes. Joycey!
Also, I like that you began yelling at each other, but it doesn't say what you said, so I just pictured her being like, Is everything alright in there? She asked, peering at Gwen, who relaxed and came to my side.
Yeah, I think, I theorized as Gwen checked the date.
Whoa! No, it's not! Gwen shouted. Today is the day Pearl Harbor gets bombed by the Japanese, and
she went to history class.
Apparently, she knows the exact date
and time.
And we're at Pearl Harbor in 30 seconds!
Down to the second!
In 30 seconds, this place is going to be bombed!
Wow.
Come on, Evan, let's get down to here.
The freaking house, 30 seconds.
Specifically 30
She
seconds.
looks to the dial. Oh no! In 30 seconds, an important historical disaster is gonna happen. We need to get out of
Because
here.
they definitely, like, even wrote down.
Forget you, little child. Bye.
What are you talking about? The girl inquired, looking like she thought we were mentally challenged weirdos.
I mean, we kind of are.
Gwen tried to pull me back, but I peered out of the hatch to see a squadron of panes on the horizon.
Did I misspell plane?
Let's bomb Pearl Harbor.
Hold
with
on, I
window
actually
panes.
lost the spot. Where is it?
Panes.
Squadron of pain. Someone's throwing just glass sheets.
I told the girl to hide, saying the Japanese were about to attack. She looked at me like I was crazy, laughed at me, and didn't believe a word I told her.
Isn't it a child? Shouldn't she be impressionable?
Yeah, honestly.
Oh man, Ashley's like, oh yes, we're playing tag even as people are trying to throw spears at us, that's fine. This one's like, attack in wartime? Nah.
This Hawaiian girl's not buying any of it.
Nope.
Evan, they won't believe you. Come on, Gwen pleaded, frantically dragging me back to the machine. I saw the pains, just kidding.
I saw the fear in your eyes.
Along the horizon, realizing that they would arrive in a matter of seconds.
Wow. Take cover! I shouted at the blissfully unaware people outside who just chuckled and walked on. Oh, what a weirdo shouting, look out, you're going to die. I'm not going to pay attention to that because I am superior. Says the Superman.
Evan, unless we go right this instant, we're history, Gwen yelled as we fell into the machine. Right. Get away from the hatch so you don't... Okay. It was too late to leave. At least the machine was invincible, I hoped. It had seemed to show extraordinary resilience to the damage during Jericho. Gwen yanked me behind the control panel with her as explosions and fire began to rage outside. Oh boy! My shirt caught on a dial as we took cover behind the panel.
How does this even happen?
So we can end up anywhere. We pulled the lever.
So I'm like... Oh no, it's twisting the dials! Ah.
Exactly like that. Here was a bad place to be, though.
Hold on to me! I shouted to Gwen above the din, and as she grabbed me around the waist, oh wow, so romantic! Wow! I pulled... Why did we both do that?
I don't know.
I pulled the lever. We whizzed through time again, and she landed in my lap. Oh, that's a little inappropriate, isn't it? In the small space behind the panel when we stopped. As I embarrassedly attempted to push her off, a kid raced into the machine. Backwards? Tripped and flipped over the control panel. Oh no, messing up things in the process. And landed on Gwen, painfully wedging us all into a pile between the panel and the wall. A bunch of yellow rocks fell out of a pouch around his neck as he flipped over and turned to us, obviously scared out of his pants. The kid opened his mouth and closed it several times before sputtering an apology and something about thinking there was nothing behind him. Then the kid ran out of the machine, leaving us in an uncomfortable pile of twisted limbs. I grimaced as I continued to try to push Gwen off of me. Somehow I had managed to get my shirt tangled in the controls, and Gwen's arms were stuck between the machine and either side of me, thus resulting in our complete immobility. I didn't want to hurt myself, much less Gwen, and I definitely didn't want to break the machine if such a thing were possible. It got blown up by pains! And you're thinking you're gonna break it with your massive muscles?
Pains!
Stranding us in who knows when. I ripped my shirt, escaped the panel, and began pushing against the side of it. She then began pulling to get her arms free. We got nowhere, we were stuck.
How did you get that stuck? How?
I don't know. I think I'm like this. And like her arms are here and she's like backwards and we're just like, oh no, we are stuck somehow.
Oh no.
How did this happen? Because whatever. Hey out there, I yelled, hoping that someone friendly would hear us and come help. Can anybody help us? We got stuck because we're stupid.
Shut up, Evan, Gwen hissed.
No, it's hissing.
Elbowing me in the ribs.
Ow.
No, it was my fault. We were stuck.
Literally, how does she do that? If she's like stuck, I mean, oh wait, I guess her elbow is there, but you gotta do the chicken dance.
We don't know who's out there.
Just two kids, right, son? A voice nervously asked from just outside the hatch, proving Gwen's point. Yes, father. I think they're stuck or something. The boy who just ran in the hatch told his dad. You sure? Whispered the dad.
It says whimpered.
So. You sure? I think so. Alright then, guards! Capture everyone you encounter in there! For friends! Okay, charge!
Oh boy.
The father shouted. 10 guards rushed through the hatch. Then, seeing no one, as we were behind the hatch, or as we were hidden behind the control panel, they began to gawk at the machine's interior. I, fearing that my feet might be sticking out past the edge of the panel, tried to pull them closer to me. Gwen did the same, kicking me in the shin in the process. It didn't hurt, but she mouthed an apology to me anyway. I then tried to turn myself, but Gwen began mouthing for me to stop.
You're breaking my wrists,
she said. I tried to give her more room, but it made it worse. I gave up and pushed against the wall with all my might and arched my back, feeling as though my arms were about to break. And suddenly, Gwen's arm slipped free! I fell back to the ground as Gwen turned herself around so that her arm wasn't in such an uncomfortable position. My mental image is destroyed. She then fell again, this time her glasses falling off and hitting into the wall, making us loud enough noise to rouse attention and get us caught, because they clearly didn't think to like walk around the bar and like look, oh wow, there's people hiding in this place, wow. Gwen stood and put her hand out in front of her as though she was shielding her eyes from something. Nothing happened, and she cursed, picking up one of the yellow rocks that had fallen out of the boy's pouch onto us.
Oh, it's you.
Don't worry, they're just French guards. Hopefully with a little talking we can get out of here.
Just French
I
guards.
whispered as I stood up beside her. This should go great.
Yeah, so much for talking our way out of it, Gwen whispered to me as the wooden boards that we were strapped to were lowered down onto the platform preceding the stocks. We were on a guillotine about to be beheaded. That escalated quickly.
Yay!
Relax, Evan. We can just wait. Oh no! She cried.
We can just wait. Oh no? Well, that'll help. I whispered sarcastically.
The yellow rocks were sulfur, and one fell in my shirt, she hissed.
So what?
Never mind, just don't relax. If one isn't in your shirt, you get us out of here. What is happening?
No problem, I whispered. There was one in my shirt, but I didn't see what the problem was. It was just a little uncomfortable to have a little rock poking me. I flipped myself upright, cut the strap that was holding me to the board on a guard spear, and knocked the guard over with the board faster than lightning. I then undid Gwen's strap, and Gwen and I heroically jumped over the side of the platform, ran to the machine with the guards on our tail, and slammed the hatch. Did we just escape and, get out of a terrible situation all in 2 sentences? 2 sentences. We ran into the machine and slammed the hatch and escaped after being tied up. And what the heck just happened? This whiplash. There's way too much detail on this stupid plan to duplicate myself with my friends, and then nowhere near enough detail for something that could probably be an entire adventure. But okay. Well, that went well, I commented before we were out of danger.
Shut up and pull the lever, Gwen told me as the
Alrighty.
guards began banging on the hatch. I did so, but not before noticing a switch turn by itself. Moldy fart.
Moldy fart.
Moldy fart, I thought.
My one
grimly.
true enemy.
Where was he sending us? An enormous explosion that rumbled the earth came from outside the hatch as I peeled myself from the floor where the machine had unceremoniously tossed me. I peeked out to see a cloud of ash rising above a large volcano, a small Roman village filled with screaming people!
Pompeii. We instantly both identified the place as we slammed the hatch and hurriedly pulled the lever again. Yikes.
Where are we this time, Gwen asked.
I don't know.
This
We should
time
probably
machine's-
adjust the coordinates to somewhere that's definitely safe and go there.
Yeah, how do you keep accidentally
Why
getting
even
these,
open the hatch? It's
historical-
definitely going to be death.
I love that the dials were completely random, but yet you've been to very specific Pearl Harbor and very specific Pompeii.
I don't know.
This time machine seems to like getting us almost killed.
I don't know. It seems to be a random date. September 11th. Not that long.
Why would you think that's a random date?
No!
Did
Why
you
do I
grow up
know-
in America, sir?
Why do I know history but not that?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't think it matters. Let's go back, I answered.
Well, while we're here,
No.
And she knows the exact second
Bruh.
of Pearl Harbor, but she does not know 9/11 exists.
Wow.
Nice.
Can we not? I asked, panic-stricken. Malazar was trying to kill it.
Moldifart.
I mean Moldifart, and I just wanted to get home alive.
Oh, come on. You know you want to explore. I get curious too, you know.
Bruh, why are we... No, what?
You
This
guys
is an entire
adventure
change of our characters.
Yeah, it kind of is. And you guys' adventure seeking is kind of infectious, she told
Bruh.
me, opening the door to find a
This
bathroom.
is literally just the
How do
writer
you know
saying,
she's
oh, I
opening the
want
door
to
to
give an
find a
excuse
bathroom?
to have us go out here instead.
Oh, to find. Oh, I thought it meant she was opening the door
Oh.
with the intent of finding a bathroom. But no, they're in the bathroom.
They're in a bathroom
Okay.
now.
A plain old bathroom. Gwen and I looked at each other.
Oh,
This doesn't
whoa,
look
I
very
love
dangerous, she
bathrooms. No, it's the Percy Jackson one. Oh, yes, it is. This is the bathroom of death. The toilets explode. The soap uses a taser, and the sinks spray mace. I yelled melodramatically.
Evan, she giggled, rolling her eyes.
Oh no, I don't like that. No, please stop.
I had taught Gwen and Johan a lot.
Have I?
I taught
Have
them a
I?
lot about humor.
Everything they know, they learn from me because I'm so cool. Wow.
But I can still make them laugh. We walked out of the bathroom to find that it was a girl's bathroom on one of the middle levels of a skyscraper. Oh, how could this possibly go badly? This is going to turn into an R-rated book very quickly.
Oh no. Even as an 11-year-old, I keep things PG, I think.
I think he's talking about 9/11.
Oh. Oh.
That is, a little sketch that you're writing about that, but,
yeah, I wouldn't...
11-year-old self
I wouldn't go there, but apparently 11-year-old...
Yeah, forgive 11-year-old
just
EA.
like, yep, you know what, that's something I can write
Terrorist
about.
attacks are really cool to write about, man.
Does that mean I'm not allowed back in, I asked, because it was a girl's bathroom. I asked, Gwen smiled and elbowed me in the ribs again. Ow. Hey.
There's gotta be something happening here, she insisted, looking around. I mean,
yeah, and it's going to kill us. Like, every time, in the last, 14 events we've gone to have tried to kill us immediately, so...
The machine has, a built-in code that doesn't let you do anything boring. Go anytime boring, sorry.
Ah, I see. Well, looks like it messed up this time. Let's go, I told her, looking at the people typing on computers at their desks. An airplane flew outside. A coffee machine rumbled. Someone sneezed. Yeah. Hi, Dad. You're just in time to catch 9/11.
I think that plane is flying kind of low. Don't you think? Gwen asked, pointing at the
This is painful.
at the pain. I squinted at it.
Let me adjust my spectacles. Yeah, it looks like it's coming right at us.
Yeah, I wonder. She stopped. We exchanged glances.
Oh, now we
people. Gwen
now we
yelled.
realize. Oh,
my
freak!
goodness.
Can we just skip the scene?
Well, there's a break in it. We'll see what
Trade
happens.
Center, a startled man in the coffee machine replied.
Oh, what's the date?
You already checked that. 9/11. The man answered.
Why would you say it? I feel like that's not you wouldn't say
Yeah, I don't...
6/4 or whatever it is today.
Yeah, you would say the
September 11th. Or,
You'd say
the 11th.
The 11th.
Monday.
What do you mean, sir? Yeah, it's Monday. It's just an average day, man. I looked at the plane. I was guessing we had about 2 or 3 minutes. How
do you see it from
distance?
I can see that little speck is coming right for us.
There's so many other buildings that, whatever.
Something weird's happening, man.
Whatever. I looked around wildly, spotted I was guessing we had a couple minutes before impact. I looked around wildly, spotted a megaphone that just happened to be there. Who has a megaphone on a middle skyscraper building? Handed it to Gwen and pulled the fire alarm that we had passed on the way there from the bathroom.
Okay, people, Gwen yelled as the alarm sound went off. Anyone who wants to live, get to the ground now.
Are we the bad guys?
I just love that you're inserting yourself into this disaster and just making yourselves these heroes that are we are the ones that started the evacuation. It was me, a 13-year-old child. You're welcome. The reason that your grandma lived in the World Trade Center is because of me. Haha.
And also all the ones who died were because they didn't listen to the 13-year-old fast enough.
They didn't listen to the people screaming in a megaphone about death.
So sorry for your loss. Oh no. Oh, this is bad. This is so bad.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Existing.
I'm so sorry for 11-year-old EJ. Why did you think this was a good idea?
Oh, children. After directing as many people as we could convince to the ground outside the building, we tried to make the machine go onto one of the planes that had been hijacked that one day.
Wait.
It worked, but the shift of balance caused the plane to plummet to the ground. So that's your explanation for that one that...
We're taking credit for Todd Beamer too? Bruh.
For what now?
Todd Beamer.
Oh, is that the guy that...
Yeah,
oh.
the Let's Roll guy. I'm sorry to everyone.
Cool. Very cool.
No, they can't possibly get worse than this, right?
Oh,
it can't possibly get worse than this.
Are you also gonna be that man with the red bandana or whatever? That guy?
What guy?
Who saved 10 million people from? He went back in the village. He's some guy that people talk about.
I don't know him, but I mean, if it happened, if I had any knowledge of it, I'm sure it would have happened.
Take credit for him too.
Yeah, I had a red bandana on my head that day, guys. Wow, so weird. Also, I suddenly was totally not an 11-year-old.
Seb says, EJ, you didn't go to the Holocaust or anything, did you?
I don't know.
I really hope not.
I better not have. Surely that one's too far.
Oh my god.
Surely I didn't.
We barely had time to get away. This one trip with Gwen and I must have been the worst luck in the history of the world.
Think?
Because not only did we go to Pearl Harbor, Pompeii, and 9/11, but we also went to the Titanic as it sunk. Is this just how? Okay. Atomic and nuclear bombs going off. Some disasters I'd rather not mention.
Atomic and nuclear is the same thing, but okay.
And more dead people than I could have imagined just lying there. I don't like to talk about that trip even now. It was a reminder of how terrible our world was, and it was a horrid psychological attack on Moldy Fart's part to cause us all to end up in those places.
What? This is such an irrelevant and useless stupidity. Oh man.
I hate this.
I hate this too.
I wish the machine could
delete this
change
chapter?
time, erase those disasters, save those people, but of course time travel didn't work that way. I mean, you did take care of that one plane, so like how come you couldn't?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
confused.
How come I can't go save more people? Nobody knows how many people died in Pompeii. Just save
Yeah.
someone.
That was a good episode. That was good episode. Oh, sorry.
Anyway.
But of course, time travel didn't work that way. What had been done. As I thought and stared at each disaster, I refused to stop trying to save as many people as I could, despite Gwen's logical protests and
Oh no.
against further excursions. After a truly mind-scarring image stared at me through the hatch, I stood dumbfounded. Gwen patted my shoulder, then set the coordinates for home.
Why didn't you do that like 8 years ago?
I don't know! Making
This
sure
is
she
so
didn't
difficult.
accidentally bump any switches
Oh
this
no,
time.
I happened
And
to
we made it back
mistakenly drop
safely.
my lemonade on the hatch.
I sat down hard, mind whirling. What was Moldy Fart trying to tell me?
That you're an idiot and you need to stop messing up the chords.
What are the chances of that? Gwen asked as I walked out of the machine a
Literally
minute
impossible. That's the chances. Literally, statistically, not ever gonna happen.
later. It's Moldy Fart. It's all his fault.
No, it's the writer. The writer just decided he wanted to torture us.
My heart was beating 1,000 miles a minute. The machine must be programmed to try to kill us.
Ya think? We almost died, I pointed out.
Precisely, Evan. Don't you see that using the machine is dangerous?
You just
Even
said,
though I just wanted to go to
Look at
9/11.
this cool place. Let's go outside and explore it.
Characterization, so good.
Wow.
We could die if you don't stop using it.
Oh, come on. Who was the one who, just a minute ago, was saying our thirst for adventure was infectious? I argued rather hotly.
Hotly.
I missed a quotation mark, didn't I? Whatever.
Oh, you did? Wow.
Gwen seemed taken
Also,
aback
hello,
at the
Isla.
volume of my outburst. Sorry, I was supposed to be more forceful. Evidently, my fear of Moldy Fart contending with my thirst for cool time-traveling adventure was sending me into a maniacal craze. I sighed, shaking my head to clear the cobwebs. What had gotten into me? One day, my life is boring, and the next, there's far too much excitement. Just give me a minute, I told Gwen, putting my face in my hands. It appeared that the machine was having a strange effect on me. Gwen nodded and walked to the house, giving me some space. I returned to the machine and sat down on the bench. I inspected the bandage on my arm, about to start thinking. There were no thoughts in my head prior. Let me just start off the brain motors real quick. When a horrible stench filled the machine. There was only one being whose existence was vile enough to create the smell. Yes,
Moldy
me. Moldy fart. A familiar icy hand enveloped by black metal armor suddenly clamped down on my shoulder, accompanied by a cold arm that draped across my back.
Creepy.
It is a weird relationship. I froze, then fearfully turned to find Malazork looking
Moldy
over
Fart.
my shoulder. Sorry, Moldy Fart. He wasn't the same hooded monstrosity as before, but he was equally as terrifying. He had yellow spikes growing all over his disgusting red
It's
head.
Darth Maul, but reverse.
Oh, and he had no face. His head's front had a bunch of scars and wounds instead of eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Okay, yikes, I don't even remember this. I nearly screamed again, but I knew that if Moldy Fart was able to kill me now, I'd already have been dead without getting a warning. I managed to keep my cool, however.
Hello again, Evan. Miss me? He asked, a mouth-like slit opening in his face to let him speak.
Hardly. Nice face, I complimented him.
Ah, yes, the new look. Every once in a while I like to change my appearance. You like the style?
Like would be an overstatement.
I'd forgotten how much fun you could be. If it weren't for all you've done to me, we might be good friends. Malazar and Moldy Fart started giving my shoulder a shake that was practically friendly.
Yeah, I'm sure, I sarcastically agreed as I pulled away. So, what are you here to chop off this time? My face? I asked.
Wow, I'm amazed at your performance under pressure.
Me too.
You're a great help to me in so many ways. Just remember, it won't last forever.
Yes, my imminent
Murder. Judas, no.
Why is it that you can't kill me now?
Because you still have a few things to do for me before your fair game. But believe me, you've only got a few more adventures to do with this machine before you serve your purpose.
And you know this how?
Well, you aren't the only one with my time machine.
What?
I'm from the future, and I've been using the machine I have there to spy on you.
Bruh.
I know exactly how long it will be until you're of no further use to me.
Okay.
Of course, I can still use you as long as I keep you in the dark. I
Bruh.
can see you've got a good head on your shoulders.
Well, I think Gwen's keeping me in the dark just as much as you, so apparently everyone's working for you. I think I'll pass. I'd rather not work for you, so you might as well start explaining things to me now.
As if. It's not my job to teach you these things. I want you dead, remember?
I didn't remember that until just now.
About you knowing why I killed you.
I care.
Which is why I don't.
Okay.
All I want you to know is that after you return from ancient Egypt, beware.
Why do you want me to know that? Ancient Egypt? I think I've had enough of old sandy deserts for now, I replied.
Well, your friends will want you to take you there.
Why are you
so
still
enjoy
talking
your last
to
few
me?
weeks
This is
there.
so pointless.
Don't bother trying to dissuade them from going.
This is
I've
so
already
pointless.
seen the future and I know precisely how things will play
Why
out.
are you even telling me any of
Would I
this?
lie to you about the unstoppable
You're just making me
inevitable?
uncomfortable. You don't seem like such a nice guy, so I actually assume you're fully capable and willing to do so.
Well, I'm not lying.
Okay.
Flatly.
Now hold out your arm again.
Why? What? Seriously? It's barely scabbed over from last time.
Never hurts to make sure.
Bruh. You shrug, walking across the machine. Well, it hurts me, and what exactly are you making sure of?
I'm making sure your birthmark is not visible anymore.
Why? What purpose do you have for it?
Don't worry about it. It's more of a symbolic.
It's exfoliating.
It's more of a symbolic showing of power than a hindrance to your capabilities.
He smiled at his use of foreshadowing and stuff. Well, your symbolism is shown, so you can... I was cut off as by Malazorg quickly drawing a knife and throwing it at me. I was barely able to get my chest out of its way by the time it reached...
Get your chest out of its way, not the rest of you. Just.
By the time it reached me and sliced through my bandaged arm again. Blood flowed again, and the bandages and scab fell to the floor, along with a fair amount of skin. All he'd done was deepen the previous wound, but it felt like an entirely new stab, and it felt fiery. My warm blood licked down my now unbandaged arm, splattering down onto the floor as the knife floated back to Malazorg. Well, great.
Learn well from your next two adventures. If you ever hope to survive when you
You got a
fight
band-aid,
me.
sir?
Moldy Fart told me, licking his knife free of my blood and vanishing.
Oh, wow.
I bit
You're
back
a
a cry
very
of
pleasant
pain
man.
and used my fallen bandage to wipe my blood from the machine. I then went to the house for a new bandage, which I tightly wrapped around my bicep to stop the blood flow. I had used like 300 yards because my bicep was so big that I just had to...
Oh my god.
Once finished, I returned to the backyard where I found Nathan, Gwen, and Erica waiting with Dad.
I feel like that scene actually wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It was bad, but like not terribly bad. So Dad finally got out of the restroom after all that nightmare fuel.
Yep.
I'm out of the restroom and ready to have an adventure again, Dad announced. I breathed hard, still a little scared from the disaster adventure and my meeting with the mysterious moldy fart guy. My days were numbered, apparently. I only had 2 time-traveling trips left. What if I saved my 2 by just not going? I realized that I probably wouldn't even be able to stop using the machine if I wanted to. Now that so many people knew about it, they all would want to go on trips, and I couldn't refuse them. Moldy Fart kept sending us to dangerous places, and I seemed to be his target for destruction. This was getting out of control. What to do? I mean, why don't you just flex your biceps and like knock
Honestly,
everyone away?
And there wasn't only the problem that this Lord Moldy Fart guy himself, who had apparently built the machine out there somewhere, my friends very traveled to dangerous places was a major problem I had to deal with. What if they got hurt because they accidentally went to a battlefield? Or, 9/11 or Pompeii or
any
Pearl
number of
Harbor.
other things, yeah.
And Moldy Fart Would he only kill me, or would he murder everyone in the family and all my friends? Maybe he was trying to get the machine to kill us all. Kill us all now, but he would use his sword if he had to. We would have to be careful. And there were the strange things that happened whenever I was in danger, which always occurred when my birthmark got inexplicably warmer. As well as that, there was the end of the world phenomena that seemed to be caused by me later that year. What in the world was going on?
Lots
what
of
I
things
needed
that
were
you'd never get to
answers.
know about.
I made a mental note to travel to the future and ask myself when I was older what was going on. I would go there right after this adventure to 23 AD Jerusalem.
Because we just have to go meet Jesus or something, right?
Oh gosh. Then things would finally make sense, I hoped.
Okay, let's go. I grumbled, holding my bandaged arm. No one knew it had been worsened, and they had all accepted my original excuse of having fallen and cut my arm. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't think we got
like
I don't think we
here.
got an explanation before, but okay. So thanks for the exposition. So I didn't bother to tell them about my multi-fart incident and his warning. I hoped we would have better luck this time, actually going where we wanted to for a change. How come we could never go where we wanted to go? And
Because
then
your shirt keeps getting tangled in the controls.
it's just my massive biceps, you know what?
Yep.
And then I realized Johann was missing. Where's Johann? I asked. Nobody knew. We searched the house and backyard, but found no sign of him. We piled into the machine, and I pulled the lever, sending us back in time about 10 minutes. Time travel made my arm feel like a balloon and made me lightheaded. We then watched the other ourselves from the bottom of the hill as they sneaked out the back of the house, ending up in the machine. We were keeping our eyes on Johann, to figure out where he went, I guess. We then watched the other Johann, Erica, and Nathan leave the machine, heading to the house. The other Johann seemed to remember something, and then he turned, walking back to the machine. He grabbed the handle to the other hatch, and then he disappeared. He literally vanished. Then other Gwen, the one on the screen, from the past, and the other me staggered out of the other machine, and other dad, Nathan, and Erica came out. Detail.
I hate this.
This is so badly organized as far as describing who is who and when and why.
Yeah, I can't.
Johann must have grabbed the handle just as Gwen and I had gone to Pearl Harbor, and he had flown with us, landing in... Where had he ended up? If Johann had landed with us, why hadn't he alerted us to his presence? I thought for a moment. He must have let go, landing somewhere random in history. We could never find him. No, wait. There was a function of the machine.
Oh, gosh.
I dashed back to the panel, flipping some switches to activate the locator device, which has never
Ex
been mentioned
machina.
until just now. I set it to look for Johann and set the range.
Do you have, like, his DNA for it to track? How is this gonna...
I don't know. How does one say, search for this guy?
don't have a freaking clue.
And set the range from about 1937 to the present. I crossed my fingers, hoping we hadn't lost Johann in history forever. The screen suddenly showed up. Johann...
Oh, no!
Oh no!
I refuse to open my eyes.
No!
If I keep them closed, it's not real.
No!
It's not real. Well, this is
You called it, whoever it was in the chat. Oh no.
exciting.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Of all the places he'd happened to land,
Of all the freaking
I pulled the lever and we
places.
quickly picked up a very angry Johann and landed in our backyard.
At least you didn't go into detail.
Oh man, I tried to open the hatch and you guys suddenly throw me through time and I landed on my head in a concentration camp in the execution line? Johann yelled. Every day, there's always some sort of reference to Hitler or something, and that was even worse. You guys... Ah! Johann shouted, not very happy.
That's
in case
the
you couldn't
appropriate
tell.
reaction. I'm
Yes.
sure he would not be like deeply disturbed and traumatized. He would just be kind of salty and be
Right.
like, "Oh, could you do that to me?"
If that happened to
Oh."
me, I would be like in tears about almost being murdered. But
Yeah.
alright, he's just like,
You would think
oh,
he would-
you guys, I am so upset at
I
you.
am upsetty. How
Wow,
could you
that's
prank
so
me in this way?
You guys, you can't do that kind of thing. Relax, Johann. I told him, you don't even want to know what just happened to Gwen and me, because we totally trumped that.
You aren't being so sympathetic, Aryan child. He shot back.
He's actually said that to me in the past. He's called me Aryan child.
I mean, you kind of are.
I mean, yes, but shush. Nathan says, now let's go on an adventure to take your mind off.
Almost got killed by Hitler. Let's go on an adventure
my
where we'll probably
gosh.
get dumped somewhere even worse if such a place exists.
Beginning to set
I'm
the
gonna
coordinates. I grabbed his arm in alarm. We would not be messed up by careless coordinate setting this time.
I hope.
Why don't you let me do it? I asked him, taking over the job of piloting. This mini adventure had given me the idea of using the machine to locate Moldy Fart and get some more information on him. Suddenly, I couldn't wait to get our first expedition over with.
Evan, please, Gwen whispered worriedly at me as Dad, Johan, and Erica strapped in, and I set the coordinates for 23 AD Jerusalem. Time to meet Jesus!
Yay!
Dad prepared to pull the
No,
lever.
don't ruin Jesus, please. Don't ruin Jesus.
I can't wait. Oh my gosh. Ignoring Gwen's plead for no more time travel.
I heard my mom's voice yell across the yard. I unstrapped, got up, and walked to the hatch guiltily to see Mom and Ashley running through the hatch and beginning to yell at us. I knew what you were doing right from the start, and now I've caught you red-handed, Mom began.
I saw you wake up! I saw you wake up!
I saw you wake up, I saw you wake up, Ashley sang joyfully. Dave, I am very disappointed in you. I called
That's
all
the dad. I forgot his name.
I called all of you kids' parents, and they'll be here soon. At 3 a.m.?
I even called yours Dave.
Why did you call our grandparents?
Because apparently Dad is a child that doesn't know how to do anything.
Apparently.
She yelled, jabbing a finger into Dad's ribs.
Oh.
Maybe if you won't listen to your wife, you'll listen to your parents, Mom shouted at Dad.
I don't know if that's a logical thing to assume.
I don't know either. I noticed his hand moving towards the lever. Oh my gosh.
Brain short circuits.
Mom, literally hold on.
Mom, literally hold on. I interrupted her
me.
mid-lecture, slamming the hatch behind her. I forced Ashley and Mom, you're there, to grab onto the hatch, then grabbed the seat as hard as I could. Dad pulled the lever, and whoosh. Once again, I found myself zooming through time and space. As we landed, Mom turned, her face pink. She was speechless with rage and fear. I peeked through the hatch, certain we had gone the wrong way, and that a native South American tribe was about to fire blow darts at me. But no, we had actually gone where we wanted to go. Achievement get. Or at least where some of us had wanted to go. 23 AD Jerusalem. How would I recognize that?
Just open the door and you're like, this field looks very 23
Yeah,
AD
this-
Jerusalem.
Yes, it looks very 23 AD Jerusalem. A goat jumped through the hatch and landed on Johan's lap as I opened the hatch a little farther. The road people chasing the goat stopped in their tracks and bolted.
Okay. We were at a marketplace at a temple at dusk, though now everyone was screaming and running from the giant silver thing that had appeared.
That's fair enough.
Wait! Dad yelled at the fleeing people as he ran out of the hatch. Does anyone know where? The goat bleated loudly inside making Johan's face. Johan pushed the goat off disgustedly,
Ew,
and we
it's a
all
goat.
clambered out of the hatch.
We'll never be able to fit in if we just appear in the middle of everyone. We should find a tree to hide.
A tree to hide the giant beam behind.
How do you hide a time machine behind a little sycamore tree or something? That's not gonna work.
If you start affecting Bible stories, I will scream.
I hope I didn't. And then we can just explore and be viewed as people with weird clothes, because that totally helps. Anyway, I looked to my left and saw the machine behind a bush. Behind a bush.
Uh-huh.
Come on, let's go. There we are now, I observed. The hatch of the other machine burst open, and a kid who looked like me ran out of the hatch, followed by a black-haired kid. Who's that? They then ran straight behind a wall across the road. Who are they? I asked. Everyone shrugged. Curious, I decided to follow them, wondering what they were doing. Who were these guys? The first one was obviously not me, even though he looks like me. And the other guy, I had no clue who he was. We came around the wall into the midst of a screaming crowd. Some people were yelling about us and the mysterious flying thing, trying to get everyone to flee. Others were yelling about someone who was causing an uproar in the temple market.
Oh boy.
Still others were staring at us, and more than a few people were trying to push their way through the crowd, including the two kids from the machine. The crowd tried to stop them from getting through, but they were determined, and we followed them as they managed to sneak through the crowd.
Suddenly, we broke through the chaotic group of people, and I got hit in the head with a bowl of fruit that had fallen off an overturned table.
Bonk.
That's not fallen off, it's like catapulted off. A pig then jumped on my dad. Birds were flying everywhere. Money and bowls and things were all over the place. And the animals were in a panic, fleeing from the people trying to subdue them. Money and broken wood and coins littered the ground. The crowd shouted. The rest of our group nearly got trampled by a flock of sheep. My birthmark grew hot again. I threw out my hand and everything except my friends, family, and the 2 kids stopped. Oh boy. It was all frozen the way it had been in the 3rd period math class, but my family and friends, who were in a heap, the black-haired kid whose foot was in the heap, and whose hand was on the kid who looked like me, the kid who looked like me, and I were still moving.
The sentence structure, the adjectives, I mean the pronouns.
Well, everyone and everything else was frozen. How had this happened again?
Props if you can figure out which Bible story this is. Also,
is it actually supposed to be that?
Yes.
But 23 AD?
I don't. Yeah, that's a good point. I wasn't a historian, okay? I wasn't a historian. I was just a stupid 11-year-old.
But I feel like you paid attention to detail a lot, so that's why I was like confused.
I think I honestly I didn't know that his ministry started when he was like 30 or something. The kid who looked like me didn't seem to notice what had happened. Okay, he began moving his hands around in what looked like sign language, trying to communicate with a table flipper. But the man was frozen. I'm more powerful than Jesus. Why am I more powerful than Jesus? Super Isha has reached new heights.
Oh my god.
I froze the Son of God.
Oh no.
No, surely it's not. Surely it's not the actual Jesus, because it's the wrong time.
It's another guy flipping tables.
I'm not
at
blaspheming,
a temple.
you're blaspheming. Then the black-haired kid spotted our group and alerted the one that looked like me. They saw us and bolted in fear. I moved out of the way of the floating table so I could see them. They ran towards the machines. The blonde-ish one that looked kind of like me suddenly stopped, turning in astonishment at the rest of my group. For some reason. The black-haired one yanked him away, and they began running from us. Okay. Hey! I yelled, chasing after them. Mom, Dad, Ashley, Gwen, Nathan, Johan, and Erica all identically looked at each other in confusion and then followed because none of them have any personality.
Yep.
I then heard the rest of the crowd behind us resume movement as we returned to the machines. Just as I had feared, the 2 kids had accidentally run into our machine rather than their own. Because they forgot they hid theirs behind a bush. And they couldn't see theirs because it was behind a bush. Let me reiterate. A giant, like, trailer-sized, giant silver bean was hiding.
A bush.
I sprinted into our machine with them in case they tried to leave. The group I had come with piled into the machine behind me, messing up the coordinates again.
God.
And there's scramble. As the 2 kids and the goat cowered in the corner, we bumped the lever accidentally. Whoosh.
It's just whoosh dot. There's not even an attempt to be excited
There's
anymore.
no attempt for drama. It is
whoosh.
just whoosh. Oh, no.
Okay, I want to read about Foot Rack. Hold on. So I wrote a story in 2nd grade, right? One of the characters was a wolf named Foot Rack. And my mom read it first minute. And she didn't tell me she didn't tell me straight up. But she was a little confused about the name Foot Rack. And she asked about it, and I could detect she was a little disappointed about the terribly stupid name. So I had hold on. So I ended up changing his name from Foot Track to Food Track. It literally didn't change anything else, but I felt a little dead inside. And I got a ribbon for writing story.
It just goes to show how low the bar is for children.
I'm literally crying. I don't know why. Why did Foot Rag make me laugh? Foot Rag. It's just so. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
It's not even like a shoe rack. It's a foot rack.
In case you want to put your EJ down.
That's so funny, Seth. Oh my gosh.
The goat bleated. The panel revealed to us that we were in Britain during the medieval ages.
Okay.
The 2 kids stayed cowering in the corner while the goat jumped into Erica's lap. Oh.
Let's sort all of this out outside, okay? Dad suggested, obviously not happy about the very crowded conditions in the machine.
Okay.
The 10 of us stumbled out of the machine.
There's 10 of us now?
I can't even bother counting.
Mom, Dad, Ashley, Evan. I mean Super EJ. Erica, Nathan, random 2 kids. Gwen, Johan. Goat.
Oh, and none of them have personalities.
Super EJ does. It's Mary Sue, obviously.
And Gwen is like vaguely
upset.
Yeah.
She has secrets. She's kind of mean. That's
and she doesn't
all we
like
know.
time travel except when she does, for convenience of plot.
Yes.
So that we can exploit terrorist events.
Anyway, however many of us there are.
Stumbled out of the machine to be dazzled by a bright sunny day with not a cloud in the sky.
Nice.
We were on a 10-foot wide stone surface with turrets in a wall at one side and a stone building at the other. We then noticed archers in full medieval gear aimed their bows at us, obviously terrified. They weren't firing.
Hey, don't kill us, please.
Yes, welcome, young friends, an old but hardened voice exclaimed. We looked up to see a very tall, wrinkled old man with half moon. It's Dumbledore!
It is. It's not. No, it's not. But
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. With half moon spectacles.
Better than Dumbledore.
Oh boy. A long white beard, a pointed wizard hat, and it's literally just Dumbledore. Yeah, I think you lifted that description literally just from Harry Potter.
The half moon, probably.
Yeah. Archers at ease. These are old friends, he ordered, then jumped headfirst off a 10-foot wall. He landed on his feet and turned to us briskly as though jumping and
Super
doing
Dumbledore?
flips at this age was quite commonplace. It's good to see you again.
Get back to the machine! I heard someone yell. Locating the source of the panicked warning, I saw myself at the top of the wall, meaning he was my future self, and he probably knew what he was talking about. Therefore, I jumped back toward the machine that we had all filed out of before... What? That we had all filed out before... I jumped back toward the machine that we all... Yeah, before we'd seen the archers. If I had been warned a second before, we all would have been saved a lot of trouble. The goat was standing on the control panel, and as I touched the machine, its hoof hit the lever.
I hate everything.
Freaking goat stole the time machine. Color exploded behind my eyes, and then I was flipping around with no mass or density or shape. Oh, I am a blob.
Oh boy.
My hand was forced off the machine, and I tumbled through time alone.
Oh no.
Images swirled around me, then blackness overtook everything as I suddenly stopped moving, hitting a solid surface. Like a shockwave, the black retreated, to be replaced by a dimly lit room.
I just have to say that we're like 60 pages in and I still don't know like what the main goal of this
There
book
is no main
is.
goal.
Like we're just
The
going
main goal
places.
is for you to be confused so
Well,
that
it's
book 2
succeeding.
can explain everything, because that's how you market your series. Make sure nobody knows anything until the next book, so you have to buy 2 at least.
It's definitely possible to
and then
hold
by
their
then
attention
you're
for this
invested
long.
enough to where you may as well just buy the 3rd one too.
Yeah.
Ah, a young magician, a spying knave! I looked around. Knights in shining armor and a regal king were seated around the large wooden table that I had landed in the middle of.
Sorry, I was laughing at him. I think I had to look up if it was an actual thing, a foot rack. And I realized it's a shoe rack, not a foot rack. And I felt extra dumb.
No, it just gives you creativity license.
So funny.
What shall we do with the lad, O King Arthur? A knight exclaimed, grabbing me by the collar. Shall we rip him apart and boil his insides? Perhaps feed him to the...
Stop! Do not harm the boy! The voice belonged to the old man we'd met interrupted. Arthur, he is an old friend and ally to us. I turned to see the old man at the door. Great. An old lunatic was helping me escape from King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Follow me, young Evan, the old man commanded. I was confused, but I obeyed, sliding across the table. The men seated around the table recoiled from me like I was a contagious disease. Not like I had one, but I was one.
Oh, my neck hurts now.
As I followed the old guy out of the great wooden doors, he again addressed me by name. You come at a dark time, Evan, but it is you who caused this time to be dark in the first place. You ate the sun or something.
Oh no, I accidentally popped my pectoral and adjusted the seasons.
Trust seemed to radiate out of him, and it was impossible not to believe him.
Wow, I'm seeing such trust rays. I responded. Must I somehow ruin every time and situation I visit?
Do not worry, no need to explain how you got here. You have already told the story many years ago.
And you have a very good memory, apparently.
as he steered me into a long stone corridor.
What? I stuttered feebly as we went into a circular stone staircase. I was in a complete and utter daze. The machine is gone. We're stuck back in time forever, I thought. My mind panicked. I couldn't think of a single way to remedy the situation we were in without the machine, which a mindless goat had stolen. We were doomed! Unless we somehow got teleported back home, the way I had been when I had fallen from the wall in Jericho. Oh, what to do?
I will explain to you if you explain to me later for you. What?
Why would you say something as confusing as that?
I will explain to you if you explain to me later for you, but I can't. I give up.
I'll explain to you if you explain to me later for you, but before for me.
He chuckled, pleased at the puzzling statement he said. No. That was not funny Gandalf of Good Morning's speech. That was just brain not make sense. I had no answer to this bizarre sentence, so as we came to the top of the stairs and came out a door into a dark room lit by a single candle, I stayed silent. I was freaking out inside. My heart was in my throat and my stomach had butterflies in it, kept inside by the rest of my insides, which were in a knot.
What? I find the weirdest ways to word things.
Yeah, that was a weird description. I wrung my cold, sweating hands in terror as my mind raced, coming up with no possible way of return to our time.
We hacked up this time.
I sighed loudly in defeat as I entered the room.
Hey, on the bright side, there's going to be no crazy shenanigans as far as going and saving ourselves 12 times and then having to keep track of when we time traveled or whatever. Now it's just good old-fashioned, we're stuck back in time.
Yay. We've only stayed in like one place we've gone for like 3 seconds,
so
really
it
will be interesting if we actually stay here for
maybe
like
we'll
a
get
hot
some
sec.
character development and something happening in this adventure.
Not even development, just characterization.
Maybe we will get to learn about how great EJ is some more. It was a strange room with many interesting objects, and each thing seemed to sparkle as though by magic. That was a great sentence. Some things seemed to move on their own or transform into other objects, but it was always out of the corner of my eye, and when I looked, I saw nothing happening. There were many dusty books on shelves lining the walls, and cobwebs were draped over nearly everything. There's a lot of things going on here. The grimy stone room was entirely filled with cool stuff.
Cool stuff!
And it smelled of mouse droppings, dust, and something I couldn't quite put my finger on. Probably dragons. There were strange machines and all sorts of junk and wonderful items strewn all over the floor and tables and, well, just about everywhere.
I won't tell you what a single one of those items are.
I know.
But trust me, they're really cool.
I have said things, stuff, items, and other stuff, but I don't know what any of them are.
Writing 101.
It was just the kind of place Johan and I would like to look through when trying to get an idea for an invention.
Come, sit down.
I love your Gandalf voice. I mean, your Merlin voice.
Thanks, it is so good. He told me, motioning to a chair that looked like a beaver had eaten a leg off of. I carefully stepped through the general mess to the chair. I heard a snap beneath my foot.
Uh-oh.
Carful!
Carful!
Carful! That was my last Dilodoscator.
My last Dilodoscator. What the heck is a Dilodoscator?
Definitely not a Deluminator.
Oh no! Based off.
Probably.
Oh no! Or it was just a skater.
See you as a skater boy. She said see you
Dinosaur,
later boy.
I don't know.
Oh, watch out for my Thrisconerotne.
That was a finger spam, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Thrisconerotne. My Thrisconerotne.
That rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
What the freaking... Who names something with like 12 syllables that are impossible to pronounce next to each other? That is just asking for trouble.
Oh, my beard! I need to tidy up a bit. Can you stand on his beard?
No, it is not enjoyment.
It should be.
I mean, it kind of is.
He muttered, waving his hand. Instantly, all the dust, grime, and filth, along with most of the spiders and their webs, vanished.
Why didn't you do this like a long time ago? If you
Because I want to show off
All right.
for my guests. This left all the other things clean, but there were still thousands of papers and small odds and ends that had fallen off things. Again, the non-useful stuff, the stuff vanished.
Yeah, all the stuff is gone now, but there's still the things
But
and
the
other
papers stacked themselves
items.
neatly on the bookshelf. Then all the inventions and everything, or whatever they were, flew into order, landing in a few designated places, along with several jars and bowls with weird markings on their sides, each containing strange glowing substances. The room looked much better now.
I feel like this could have been a much stronger scene if we knew anything of what just happened.
Yeah, for real.
Like, it was a vibrant description with no actual nouns.
Things were like
there's
shimmery.
all kinds of cool things that are cool. But what are they? I don't know what's going on.
Have you ever thought you could be anything?
Yes, it is that child.
Your writing style is many words but
Pretty
no
much.
substance. Where were we?
I wish I could clean my room like that. I enviously grinned, disbelieving at what I'd seen.
Oh my! What happened to your arm?
Funny story. There's a bad smelling guy with scars on his face, and he keeps throwing knives at me.
He asked as my t-shirt happened to uncover my bloody bandage. Let me heal you quickly, he ordered, taking my arm and beginning to undo the bandage.
I have nice muscles.
There was nothing for me to do but watch in awe as he exposed my bare arm and put his hand directly on my wound.
Ow!
An indescribable sensation of warmth spread through my arm, and when he removed his hand, Moldy Fart's wound was completely gone. My birthmark was back, and my arm felt great. Now anyway, he continued briskly, waving his hand to vanish my unnecessary bandage.
Oh,
If you haven't figured it
thanks.
out already, I am Merlin, and you have come to Camelot at the time of King Arthur's reign. My soldiers were right to want to kill you because we are in a dark time.
You
Camelot
mentioned that, funny
is
enough.
fighting with a rival kingdom led by Morgana, or Morgan Le Fay, the evil witch. Normally.
Oh, okay. I guess magic just exists and is well known in this area.
In this
I love how we're canonizing Jesus and also like King Arthur and magic and
confusion.
also, you know, the end of the world with zombies and you know what? I don't know what's happening anymore.
This is so consistent with scripture, guys. Yeah, you know, all that talk in Revelation, it's actually going to be EJ and zombies. That's
No,
what it is.
no. That's not what I said.
Normally we could win easily, but the goat you told me of before made the machine go to Morgan 1 month ago, and she is using the machine like a mad woman. She is going to different times, getting people and building an army, stealing what she wants and having as much time as she needs to make magical weapons. They have a large advantage
Oh, no.
over us, and I'm glad you came.
Oh no.
That's today.
Freaking goat.
Freaking goat.
How do you know my name, the goat, and the machine?
The goat was not the goat. You
What?
later go to Egypt at a time before this time. I met you then. This is some River Song stuff. That is how I know
Oh,
you.
sweetie.
Do you understand?
Oh, one of my adventures goes to Egypt at an earlier time than...
Medieval ages.
How would you know that this is the medieval ages if you're living in them right now? There aren't any ages in the future yet.
Just like
that
this
you-
is the Squabbledygook age. Didn't know that.
You heard it here first. This is the age of the Squabbledygook. Yes, and I meet you there for the first time in your mind, but for the second time for me.
Yes! Oh, then this is very important. While you are there, as soon as you get a chance, put this sulfur ring on the inside of my Egyptian golden bracelet, he ordered, giving me a large ring made of yellow stone. I took it and put it in my backpack with confusion. Make sure I don't know about it. I used to go by the name Djedi.
Jetty.
In that time.
I feel like I just saw like a fun fact. There used to be a guy in Egypt who could do magic tricks, and his name was Djedi. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna use that.
Yeah. In that time, but I won't know you. So when you meet me, say these 3 words to me. Kynimd Zithinu Flitjungi. Remember those.
I am never gonna remember. What? Gind
How do you pronounce that?
Frtjungi. Frtjungi.
That will make me know you are a friend from the future.
Because he has a code for that. For sure.
That's so easy to say. It's so easy even I can say it.
And you fight him.
And after I get mad at you, and only after I begin to say Shengahi, should you say when three Ertuhu Thuitom.
No! I will never say this to you! This is pointless and I hate it!
And as we are reminiscing in the past...
Tweetum.
Thuitom.
Why? Why tweetum? Should I tweet him?
And as we are reminiscing in the past, let me ask you something, by the way. How is my little lizard friend doing? Oh,
the lizard from She-Ra! It finally came
found
back!
out. Good heavens, I almost forgot. You don't have him yet. Oh well, I like that little guy.
Thanks
Anyway.
for the exposition that will make no sense for now.
Take a look at this, he said, grabbing a crystal ball off a shelf and putting it on the table. After a moment, the machine appeared in the crystal ball. I watched a green-robed lady enter the machine and return a moment later with some weapons, which she put on the ground as she re-entered and re-emerged from the machine with 10 men, who each grabbed a weapon.
Oh yeah.
In an instant, she just equipped 10 more men for her army. We have been waiting for her invasion of Camelot for some time now.
What's the point of invading Camelot if you have a time machine?
I don't know.
What does she want? Like if
Motivation.
she wants like the magical items, just teleport into the room when no one's looking, grab the thing, and go. If you want control of the castle, just teleport in, stab King Arthur, and go.
Arthur.
Arthur.
Okay, Arthur.
He's an aardvark. What sulfur does in this story is it like counteracts the ability to use magic. So like if you have sulfur touching you, you're like, oh no, I can't do the magics right now. It's impossible. Help, oh no. If you can use magic, I asked, can't you just attack her with magic or something? You are Merlin after all. Or is it all just illusion? Time travel exists, I guess, but I don't think magic does. Bro, you have literally accidentally lit a car on fire.
Magic doesn't exist.
You lit a car on fire and levitated it with your mind because you're a stupid child.
Oh, magic exists, alright, but it has limitations.
Okay.
But I won't tell you what they are.
Oh, thanks.
And boundaries from good magic to bad magic.
Which are very vaguely
Morgan
defined.
disregards.
Sounds like the dark side of the Force.
What?
Forget it.
Okay then. Anyway, there is a kind of magic that can do almost anything, but it is dark magic.
Okay.
A kind that none should use.
Okay.
The equivalent of it would be having the abilities from all 5 elements of magic.
Earth, water,
Wind, fire, air.
Long
We may
ago.
look bad, but we don't care.
Oh my gosh. What?
Gwen can explain to you later. Any other questions?
She's never going to explain to us later.
No.
Yeah. How do we get back home if an evil person who can use magic has control of the machine?
I love that you've just given up on like any dialogue tags for like forever. It's just
Well, I think it's clear enough at this point because like
true, but there's no like actions
Yeah,
or like any tone of voice
we're just-
changes.
hello.
Yes,
Hello.
magic.
I think I honestly
magic.
gave up because I ran out of ways to say said.
That would be where the problem is. You see, the only way we can get back to the machine so you can leave is by defeating Morgan's kingdom and taking it from her.
Oh, okay.
The one that's growing exponentially by the second.
That sounds very doable and definitely not like a suicide mission.
Uh-huh. Unfortunately, every second we spend is 20 more men for her
Well,
army.
guess we lose.
Also, if we manage to break into their castle, she'll just escape with the machine.
That's a big problem. Do you have a solution?
Camelot needs your help to fight this war.
Oh.
That doesn't
What?
really answer the question.
I can't possibly fight. I have no experience with fighting.
I can't blow up cars with my mind.
I don't like hurting people, except my friends, apparently. Wow.
Well, then you can change a lot by the time you get to Egypt. Then you change a lot by the time you get to Egypt.
Excuse me?
Now
Do I
you
become a
love
psychopath?
fighting.
I love murder. Murder's great.
Now come, he told. Oh,
Didn't
now
I slice a
come.
guy's head off back in
Oh,
Jericho
yeah, you
or
kinda
something?
did. But you hate hurting people.
Wait, I guess maybe like some other guy was already throwing the spear and I just kind of made that happen, but I totally didn't cause someone's death and I wasn't
Of course
traumatized by that in the slightest. I didn't care.
He told me tiredly, rising from his seat as the image of the machine in the crystal ball dissipated. We must find the others.
So I want the moral high ground, but I also want to be cool enough to murder everyone.
Yeah.
Alright. I also had no qualms whatsoever with killing zombies.
He grabbed the crystal ball and pocketed it.
I followed Merlin back down the spiral stairs, through a few more doors, and out into the sunlight. I blinked, dazzled by the blinding light. My eyes adjusted, and I saw Merlin at the edge of the wall looking down. I looked over the wall too, and saw myself, Erica, Johan, Gwen, Mom, Dad, and all the rest of them, along with the
Those other
machine,
NPCs.
on the wall below us. Ah, yes. Oh, wait.
Ah, yes, welcome, young friends, Merlin yelled down to the rest of my group. Archers at ease, these are old friends, he said to the archers, then jumped headfirst off the 10-foot wall.
All right.
He landed on his feet and turned. It is good to see you
I
again.
think we just had this scene. Get back to the machine! I yelled, hoping that I would be fast enough to prevent the goat's unintentional journey this time, but also knowing the prevention of the past was impossible. I saw myself jump to the machine, then vanish with it into thin air. I could have sworn that I had seen another figure clinging to the outside of the machine as well, though.
My head hurts. It's too much.
Okay. The rest of my group stared at where the machine had been a moment before. They gawked for 2 full seconds before screaming in fear. I climbed down the wall quickly. Guys, hold it! Please be silent! I yelled. They did. Why am I yelling for them to be silent?
I don't know.
Why are they silencing themselves?
I don't know.
How is he silent if Dad's yelling at me now?
I don't know.
Evan, don't you ever leave us alone without the machine hundreds of years ago ever again. Dad yelled.
Yeah, don't you ever leave me again, Ashley sobbed.
Where did you leave the machine? Dad asked. I looked at Merlin. Well, the goat decided to go on a little trip without us, I began. They all began screaming at me, but I continued explaining over the din. And I got stranded, but the machine only went back a few months. They grew silent again. Morgan Le Fay, an evil sorceress, has it, and according to Merlin, she's using it to build an army that she's going to attack Camelot with. The only way we can get back the machine is to fight.
What?
We're all going to die. That's the translation.
Mom asked. I repeated the problem. They began screaming once again.
I can't believe a goat would be this stupid. How could you be such a fool? A fool of a duke.
Gwen seemed about to pass out, fighting with Camelot's small army and Merlin's against another huge army, and Morgan seemed, I don't know what I just read, fighting with Camelot's small army and Merlin against another huge army, and Morgan didn't seem too safe. Okay? Cool.
What can we do? I asked Merlin, who was calmly but grimly watching the machine through the crystal ball.
Right, he replied without looking up.
We're not warriors. We have no training except for all the made-up training that we did with our lightsabers and whatever, I protested. Merlin let the image in the crystal ball dissipate, pocketing the stone. He muttered something about making sure it didn't overheat. Okay, what is that going to be relevant sometime?
And you shall perish.
Is there any way into their castle? Secret passages?
Not that I am aware of.
Great.
Plus, Morgan sleeps in the machine at a different time. Therefore, the machine is in constant use here. Morgan doesn't leave the machine for a second, and it's guarded at all times. Even if you could sneak in, you could never get the machine.
Good stuff. Okay, well, we could, since we've never been seen before in this time, we could pretend to be servants at their castle, use some of your magic stuff to make a big distraction that only Morgan can deal with, and as soon as she leaves the machine, bang!
She'll be expecting something like that.
Will she now? Okay,
Yes, of
'cause she
course.
knows that there's time. Sure. We could go with you, have you disguised, and you could take her out as soon as she leaves the machine.
Perhaps.
Oh, I know! We can build and use modern weapons and catapults and stuff with the armies fighting. What? With the armies fighting? Well, we get you to knock out Morgan.
Have they invented catapults yet? Gwen, who had snuck up behind me, asked. This caused me to jump.
Hold up, there's a plot hole with my logic here. We can show you guys how to build catapults if you haven't invented those yet. That'll help with the war. Meanwhile, Morgan walks out of the machine with 10 men and machine guns. I don't think this is gonna go well for you, my dude. Probably. Have you?
Merlin sputtered.
Nope, guess not, Gwen decided. Well, let's get going then, I yelled. Every second wasted is 20 more men we have to fight. Merlin took out his crystal ball. I saw men pulling up a cannon out of the machine as a few more men walked out with machine guns. Another man was carrying grenades. Oh my gosh, she's decided to use modern weapons too. Merlin, how long till she attacks, do you think?
3 days at most, I think.
Then let's get to work, Johann shouted. There's no time to lose.
Wait a minute, Gwen protested. Where's Nathan?
Oh no, blame the goat or something. Teresa says, okay, so in 3 days, Morgana's gonna have added basically over 5 million men to her army. Why would she wait that long? Number time, oh no. To be exact, 5,184,000 troops, all of who need water and food. Oh, she's caused a big problem for herself.
Every girl loves EJ because he's so charismatic and romantic and totally not condescending and jerk-facey.
Yeah. The end of the story is just Gwen, Moldavart, and Remy fighting for EJ's heart. No!
I would read that.
I hate it. I would read it too, but I hate it. Challenge, give EJ cold hands.
No, my necky. I not like.
My neck.
30 minutes later, after coming to the unpleasant realization that we'd left Nathan in Israel during our mad struggle to get so many people to pile in the machine, good job us, Merlin was helping Johann, Dad, and a very distraught Gwen and I build huge catapults which are totally going to be effective against freaking machine guns. Mom and Ashley were, in a daze, creating booby traps that would slow the enemy down. Ashley singing London Bridge as she dug pits
That's
and
ominous.
covered them up with branches.
Oh my gosh.
No, do not like. Erica was helping to make weapons, and the 2 kids had vanished again, and nobody knew where they had gone. But these preparations took time, which we did not have much of, and Morgan had an abundance, so this is a terrible strategy and you should rethink it. Fortunately for us, Morgan could only bring things that she could fit in the machine with her. Therefore, she would have to use the same amount of time as us to build catapults. Or so we thought. We had just been laughing at Morgan because she couldn't build catapults or something like that and come here with it when a huge rumble shook the ground. We looked up the hill to find... we looked up the hill about a mile or 2 away where Morgan's castle stood under the black clouds and lightning, and there, right beside the castle walls, was the Expriver, an American warship that supposedly vanished in the Bermuda Triangle long ago.
Oh my gosh.
Bro, what? Merlin looked through his crystal ball and saw that the machine was chained to the deck of the ship. Morgan undid the chains and walked back to the machine. Another enormous boom and a modern aircraft carrier, complete with missile launchers and machine guns, appeared, towering over their castle.
So you can just attach anything to the time machine that comes with you?
Well, apparently, if you just tie it securely enough.
Uh-huh.
We've got to stop her before she destroys history and the world. That first ship had the peace proposal to end the War of 1812 aboard, and I have no clue where that other ship is from, but it's going to do some serious damage to us, I emphasized. How do I know the name of the ship, what its mission was, where it disappeared? How do I know every ship that's ever sailed? Super EJ just
no idea.
memorized the internet.
The War of 1812 isn't even like one of the major wars that you learned about in school.
It really isn't. The 2 ships that were suddenly sitting on land seemed less than happy to be there.
What?
Understandably. Merlin, please get me a servant's tunic. One hit me in the head and pulled itself over me before I knew what was happening. Thank you, my muffled voice muttered as I tried to adjust the medieval tunic into a less suffocating position. My sneakers allowed me to slide down our 3rd catapult's wooden beams to the ground without getting any splinters. Evan, where are you going? Dad shouted. To do what I can over at their castle. I'm not doing much over here, so I'll go spy, get the machine back if I can, cause some mayhem, and set Morgan back. And then come back here and... Oh. You want to read?
You are not going over there without me, Gwen yelled, sliding down
Oh
too.
no, a romance! She's totally coming along, etc., etc.
You'll need help if she can use magic. Yo, Merlin, we need another servant's tunic down here, she called. Another tunic flew in Gwen's hands.
I can take care of myself. I've gone on 3 adventures already, and I'm the one who always has to save everyone else, I argued.
But you brought us along so we could see the past, have awesome adventures and stuff. Now work on building projects. Oh, that's Johann, cried Johann as he slid halfway down a wooden beam of the catapult. His shoe caught on a split in the wood and he fell. He was too heavy for Gwen and I to catch, so we got out of the way and watched in horror as Johann fell. Merlin caught him with magic, though, as you do. Arresto momentum. He landed safely. Looking sheepish, He hurriedly pulled on the servant's tunic Merlin had given him. It was too short and too wide. So, magic existed. I had to be dreaming. I slapped myself, causing no awakening.
How did I not realize that by now?
Yeah. Okay, you're stupid, I guess. This was real. But I just couldn't believe it. Magic in real life?
I'm having this
not like I
realization
have
after I lit a car on fire.
lit a car on fire. Also, you have a time
Crystal
machine.
balls.
Like, magic is not that
Yep.
big of a leap of faith here.
Mm-hmm. In fact, the magic machine probably works by time travel.
It says, is that how the machine worked? I sighed, my world turned on its head. Something told me that these things would only increase in confusing quality here on out.
Wow, thank you for telling the reader. Wow, this is even more confusing.
Prepare to be more confused.
Wow, yay.
At least I would get some sorcerer fighting experience during this adventure. Maybe it would help me when Moldy Fart came to get me.
Ha ha.
Page 69, nice. Naturally, you'll need adult supervision, Dad imposed, carefully beginning to climb down, but then deciding it would be faster to just jump and let Merlin catch him. Okay. This was obviously very rude, and Merlin only slowed him down as much as he had to. Dad landed hard, but got right back up. I've gone on adventures, but not actually had... I've gone on adventures, but not actually had any adventures, he finished truthfully.
He has a point.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sat there and read a book while we were dying in Jericho.
And he wanted to go to Jerusalem, and you got there for like 2 seconds, then you left again,
And then
so...
a goat sent us back in
Rip.
time again.
Hang on, guys, cried Erica from atop of the castle wall. I was just coming to find something else to do because hammering metal in a sweltering blacksmith shop isn't much fun. And I couldn't help but
Sounds fun to
overhear
me.
your conversation.
Oh no.
I came
My
with
cheese.
you guys for some excitement, and I expect plenty of action on your guys' adventure. I'm coming with you all. You young kids are going to get yourself killed, Merlin shouted from the top of the first catapult. You can't possibly do anything. She's too strong. We have to do something. We have to try, I yelled to him. You young whippersnapper, your favorite line when you were that age. I can't
You young whippersnapper, I can't see you from over here.
Well, Grandpa Geezer, we may get killed, but we've at least got to try before she has an entire army. I think she already does.
Yeah, she
Or at
does
least
within
before
seconds.
she's ready to attack, shouted Gwen. Merlin waved his hand and a small orb of fire shot from his hand towards Gwen. She ducked and it whistled over her head, exploding into a shower of sparks on the castle wall behind her.
Oh.
Whoa!
Murder.
Hey! What was that for? Yelled Gwen defensively. For calling me whatever you called me. Well, maybe we don't like to be called whippersnappers, she snapped back. I just made that up.
Oh
It
my
doesn't mean
gosh.
anything.
The origin of the word.
Huh? But, oh well, I guess I just invented the word in this time.
Oh my
but
gosh.
in our time, it's a word old people used to call young people stupid.
Oh, we
I
did
think.
not need this explanation.
And geezer is not a very nice way of calling someone old.
We did not need this explanation.
Gwen described.
Thank you for becoming a dictionary for this.
Yeah.
Excerpt from the dictionary, my best inspiration yet.
Well, whatever. Don't go if you want to live, Merlin warned. Like we'll survive if we just do nothing. At this rate, Morgan will have a nuclear missile within the hour and we'll
Probably.
be dead with the push of a button.
Probably.
Merlin, we're going and nothing you can say is gonna dissuade us, I yelled up to him. You're fools, but do as you will, Merlin agreed.
I ran into King Arthur's castle and jumped up onto an unattended horse. I'd like to say that I burst through the castle doors and rode to the enemy castle heroically, but in truth, I'd never ridden a horse before. A flaw! And it bucked me off angrily. I landed on my head 10 feet away.
This is Minecraft.
Ouch. On my head, off a horse? I should have a broken neck. But my neck is so strong that I break the ground instead. I tried again, but the horse just knelt down and began to nibble on some grass. I guess I'm not a natural at everything. A flaw, character development, wow! I hadn't actually made any indication that I wanted to go forward, so I tried gently nudging its side, then smacking its rear. It rolled over on its back, squashing me. Well, all my ribs are broken. I gasped as I stood up. It had squeezed the air out of my lungs. It then aimed a kick at me, but I skillfully dodged despite my dizziness, and then even more skillfully lost my balance and landed in the horse's water trough. Swiftwind has beaten my butt. Gwen, who did horse racing back at home, laughed at me and climbed up onto another horse easily. Dad and Johan were having troubles similar to mine.
Erica climbed up onto a horse with little effort because she had plenty of experience too. She turned around to smile at me. I was a little annoyed now and I felt my birthmark burn for the 8
I'm
billionth
cheating!
time.
Cheating!
I had learned that when that happens, something extraordinary happens. Magic.
Bruh, have you not figured out at this point that you can do magic?
I carefully mounted the white horse again, and it didn't buck or anything, which I took to be a good sign. Suddenly, Erica's horse went crazy, charging back through the arched
really
doorway.
cheating. Am I murdering my friends again?
Merlin's catapult building field. Erica struggled to stay on the horse, which had been spooked by something. She clung to the horse as the saddle slipped sideways down the side of the horse. I watched, cringing as Erica's head hit the stone doorway, effectively knocking her off the horse entirely.
Oh.
She stood, rubbing her head. I felt bad for her as she blinked hard.
That's
stumbling
Isa's
over to
brain
me.
injury, isn't it?
She stood, rubbing her head. I felt bad for her
Congrats.
as she blinked hard, stumbling over to me. I still sat on the motionless horse. Erica collapsed on the horse's side, grabbing my hand for support. The horse fidgeted nervously.
You okay? I asked tentatively. She looked up at me, blinking hard.
I'm in pain and I probably have a concussion, but I don't want to stay back. I probably can't steer very well right now, so I think I'll just ride behind you. Oh! She groaned, obviously fighting the splitting headache she must be feeling. I saw tears in the corner of her eyes. I could tell she was trying to be brave so she wouldn't seem weak. Which was...
You're a burden to the group because you're weak.
You're weak! I felt bad for ruining her dreams of glory, but I didn't think her accompaniment would be a good idea.
I just want to spend more time with Gwen.
Yeah, get away, Erica. Nobody wants you.
Aww. But she's actually nicer. Erica, I don't think bouncing up and down on a horse would be the best thing for your head, I told her. Gwen literally snarled at me from her horse, causing me to backtrack, hurriedly allowing Erica to climb on the horse with me. Gosh, why do you have to be like that sometimes? You're almost as bad as Alexa, I complained to Gwen.
Well, if she wants to come, let her come, Gwen told me. Then
After going...
Then a moment later, however, as Erica was distracted by climbing onto the horse with me, Gwen motioned to me that she didn't want Erica to go either.
Bruh, then what? What? Gwen's like, no, you will let her come.
But actually, I don't want her to.
I don't want her to come. What? What kind of logic? Heckin'
I gave
brain?
Gwen a questioning look. She realized that she doesn't really want to go with us as soon as we get going. At least this way, we seem nice by letting her try it. This is some reverse psychology. Oh my gosh. Gwen silently communicated to... Oh, she silently...
How?
How do you silently communicate? She'll realize she doesn't really want to come with us as soon as we get going. At least this way we'll seem nice by letting her try to come. What?
This is some next level, like, eye gestures.
Should have just given him telepathy like Thomas and
Holy
Teresa.
brain cell.
Holy brain cell. Erica made it onto the horse and froze for a moment, squeezing her eyes shut. Oh no, you did magic, she froze. And pursing her lips. Evidently, physical exertion was a painful thing to do after hitting your head. I knew exactly how she felt after experiencing nearly the same thing in Jericho. Oh, you were affected by something, oh my gosh. Oh man. She swallowed, forcing herself to swallow her sobs. Alrighty. Sorry, Evan.
Creative writing.
Yes. Repeating the same word 8 million times is so good.
Yes.
Sorry, Evan. That's just the way I get your attention sometimes. You know I'm not really that mean to you. Okay, let's go, Gwen told me.
Oh, I see how it is. Gaslighting me now, are we?
Erica then leaned forward, resting her cheek on my back and putting her arms around my waist to make sure she didn't fall. Oh, love triangle! Oh. Her arms around my waist was understandable, as she needed to stay on the horse. Thank you for explaining that that's the reason. Thank you for making sure that there was no subtext whatsoever. And the head on my back was only because she was in pain.
Oh no, I am still freaked out.
Oh. But the sudden seeming show of affection caused me to inhale sharply, stiffen, and almost have a heart attack due to my surprise. Are you okay, Ethan?
I am very impacted by this.
Evan. I definitely trusted Erica, but my friend's playful abuse had trained me to be wary of everyone. Oh my gosh. Hugging was something that never crossed my mind.
I'm so
neglected and abused, guys.
Everybody hates me. I'm gonna go eat worms.
Exactly. Gwen gave me an incredulous look. I do like that word. It's on my list of favorite words.
Erica.
I motioned that it had been all Erica, and I wasn't sure what to do about it. I sighed, deciding to go with it. Now, how to make the horse go, I thought. My fully healed birthmark began to grow warm again, and I found myself speaking to the horse. Please don't. Please don't go there. Please. Excuse me, Mr. Horse, could we please ride to the castle? I asked, but not really expecting it to
Mr. Horse.
Oh gosh, do you want to be the horse?
Mr. Horse. Alright, I'll be Mr. Horse. Why not? I haven't been out for a canter in a while, and Why not? I haven't been at it for a canter in a while, and the name's Miss White Kingdom. The horse replied, and to my utter astonishment, it stood and began going towards the other castle at full speed.
Is there literally anything that you cannot do?
Nope!
There's nothing
Not
our
yet.
EJ cannot do.
Erica squeezed my waist, her eyes still shut tight. Her head tried to bounce in rhythm with the horse's hooves, but Erica kept it on my back determinedly. We bounced up and down as we flew across the ground. Suddenly, Erica pulled on my arm. I turned. She looked sick, about to pass out or something. I quickly stopped the horse and lowered Erica to the ground while dismounting. She almost fainted, and I was forced to catch her again and lay her on the grass. Oh,
No.
no more horses. You guys go, she managed to say after struggling to stay awake. I shrugged at the others and then walked Erica back to Merlin, supporting most of Erica's weight the whole time. I'm so sorry, Erica. I told you it would be a bad idea, I told her. She gave me an acknowledging look. After arriving, I got her comfortable on a bench where she fell asleep in the care of a medieval doctor. I love the specification. It's a medieval doctor.
Not a modern day doctor.
No, this in fact is one from the proper time period.
In case you were curious.
Before I returned to the horse. Once I had remounted, White Kingdom began galloping again, faster without Erica's weight.
The heck is that name?
I don't know. There was a large stretch of open meadow before a large, dark forest growing on the side of a gradual hill that eventually grew steeper and peaked in a castle made of dark stone with black clouds swirling above it. Wow, what a descriptive sentence. No question whose castle that was. I felt brave, however, as the wind whipped my hair around. We were on a quest to reclaim the machine. It felt good to have a purposeful mission. It clearly felt better. It certainly felt better than the sinking, empty feeling I had felt when I first lost the machine. I was getting back into the adventurous spirit that had enticed us to go on our very first trip. Unfortunately, I had a hunch it would be a while before we got home, and that we would be desperate for a way back to where we belonged.
So, do you have a peace agreement to deliver to them? The horse asked. I won't accept. In fact, they might shoot you down before we get halfway there. After all, you are riding King Arthur's horse, it continued. Gwen, Johan, and Dad caught up with me as I replied to the horse.
Medieval doctor! Rip Erica again. Oh no.
Gonna do some bloodletting or something?
Poor girl. What? Great, I didn't know whose horse you were. I need to sneak into their castle. I want my rival to be unnoticed.
Well, we are riding into the woods now. As you're just getting off me before we're in their line of sight.
This is
And
a
you're sneaking the
smart
rest of the
horse.
way. Yeah. Those battle strategies and
Okay, I
everything.
agreed. Relaying the plan to my companions, who evidently hadn't been able to hear White Kingdom's speech. Well, what do you think? It's a horse! We then had a few races with each other as we went towards Morgan's castle before the horses got tired and we trotted, then walked the rest of the way to the castle. Bright Country? Wasn't it White Country? Autocorrect? I'm gonna blame autocorrect? Or my own stupidity? I don't
Is that
know.
a different horse that we just didn't name?
No, because... Wait, wasn't White Kingdom? Oh, wait, hold on. White Kingdom, Bright Country? I have no idea. Hold on.
Country was never mentioned
Who the
before.
freaking heck is Bright Kingdom?
Bright Country and White
Whatever,
Kingdom.
I don't care.
The heck are these names?
I don't know, I lost my place. Where is this Bright Kingdom of whiteness and
Down.
snuff?
Snuff.
There we
Bright Country.
go. Okay, Bright Country, baby farewell. After we dismount. Did I just, like, change the name and forget to change it in all the right places?
What does that remind me of?
Me being dumb.
Bright Country bade me farewell after we dismounted, running back the way we had come with the other three horses.
See you, Oceana. Have a good one.
I had not realized just how intimidating Morgan's castle was. Its stone was black, it stood on the steep hill which gave way to sheer jagged cliffs to the sea, and there was no vegetation to be seen past the point where I stood.
Oh.
The swirling clouds were black as though ash from... is that a sentence? The swirling clouds were black as though ash from an erupting volcano.
Alright.
Okay. Are you smiling at your use of a simile?
We going in there? Johan asked.
Yup, Dad replied.
We better be careful, Gwen advised.
Here we go, I sighed. Remember, stealth is our survival. Don't be seen, I
Oh
emphasized.
wow, thanks. I totally forgot the fact there's an army of machine gun wielding magic crazy people with a time machine after us.
Taking a deep breath and moving forward. Just before I stepped across the line from the forest to the wasteland, I hit an invisible barrier. I couldn't cross it. It was like an invisible brick wall. That's what invisible barrier would be.
Okay.
Split up and try to find a way in, I told them. Gwen and Dad disagreed, but
Why?
Johan and I insisted.
Why are we splitting up?
Uh,
Why are we splitting the party? No.
I don't know. We each promised to whistle if we found a way in.
And the people at the
Scream
castle
if
are
we
just
were
gonna
in
be like,
trouble.
excuse me?
And try to meet up at the battleship once we made it. We departed and I began to walk around the perimeter testing for weak spots in the barrier.
How?
I got the bright country idea to try a running start and I rammed into the barrier as hard as I could. This is like some platform 9 3/4 stuff. Upon impact, a lightning bolt zapped me in a shower of sparks. Okay, PETA. And I flew backwards and landed back in the woods 20 feet away. Somebody get Finnick! Invader! In the foliage! Over there! I heard a distant voice from the castle yell.
What guard is gonna be like, foliage?
In the foliage! I got back up shakily, feeling my smoking, spiky hair. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
A section of the hazy
But I'm
air.
invulnerable to lightning because I'm just so cool.
Lightning, when PETA runs into a force field, his heart stops. When Super EJ runs into it, he just gets a funky hairdo and just keeps going. A section of the hazy air along the line of woods and black rock seemed to become clearer, as though an ice sheet had just had a hole melted in it. It looked like the protective circle had been broken in that small hole. I jumped at it, passed through it, and landed behind a rock just as a missile from the battleship that had been combined with
my
magic flew
What?
through the hole.
What?
It exploded and sent magic fire sailing into the woods, incinerating anything that had been there. The fire didn't dissipate. I heard a whistle just as the fire retreated back to the boundary line and swirled around the entire hill, guarding.
Wow.
The circle had repaired itself as well. I whistled, and 3 other whistles answered my call. The people on the hill thought we were still outside, so they shot more missiles. Evidently, they thought I was dead, because the missiles stopped after a little while. Merlin must think we're dead, I thought. Whew, that was a lot.
Wow.
Oh,
Also-
suddenly... Oh, sorry, continue. What?
What were you saying?
Suddenly, I felt the ever-present
Oh.
invisible observer that followed my every move solidify more, becoming
Oh boy,
strong enough that I
wow, where
felt the
the heck
mysterious
did you
entity
come
that
from
was
again?
watching me floating right behind me. I whirled, my heart rate spiking, but there was nobody to be found. I shivered involuntarily.
That extra paragraph just inserted randomly, and then it gets back to what's actually happening.
Yep.
Smelling something funny. The real offense is that he dropped the Miss. Very rude. I know. She wanted to be called Miss White Kingdom, and we just called her Bright Country instead.
Excuse me, my name is Miss White Kingdom. Okay, Bright Country. Let's go.
Oh no. I smelled something funny, and I looked down to find the ground burning my sneakers. My feet began to get hot. I began rapidly planning my approach. Thank you for no punctuation there. There were about 300 yards between me and the castle. Ouch, no time! I jumped from behind my rock to behind another rock. And no one saw it. My hand brushed the rock, and I screamed! And no one heard it. The rock was burning hot. My sneakers had nearly completely melted now, and I took off the melted rubber and burning cloth mess that was on my feet. Leaving, of course, my bare feet on the ground. My bare feet touched the ground, and I instantly jumped up in the air, biting back a scream. I didn't even notice that my birthmark had grown hot, but I landed on a small, invisible chair that I stayed on until I could feel my feet again. Wow. Was Moldy Fart trying to make it more difficult for me to get to the castle? I remembered a thing I had seen about firewalkers and the people who walk across hot coals barefoot. They didn't get hurt because of their technique they use. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to try it. I lowered myself to the ground and began walking normally across the ground. Apparently this wasn't the same as walking on hot coals because my feet got really hot, then my birthmark got hot, then my feet were okay, and my birthmark got hotter. I seemed to be wearing invisible, heat-proof boots. Now I could get up to the castle, but I would be seen. My mark got still hotter, and I felt a different kind of warmth spreading through my body.
The warmth of love. Sorry.
I looked down at my feet to find that I had no feet.
What?
I waved my hands in front of my face, but I couldn't see them. I was invisible. Awesome.
What else could possibly be thrown at us out of nowhere? I began walking invisibly up a steep hill to the castle. I began to
Blind
get
and
very
deaf guards are
tired.
tight.
I began to get very
It was
tired
super
halfway
easy,
up,
barely
but I kept
inconvenient.
going. I found myself gasping for breath, nearly out of energy. I had gotten more tired than I would have done by just walking up the same hill without the invisible boots and being invisible.
Thank you for attempting to establish the rules of how magic works.
Yep. I didn't
Badly.
even know how I did these magical lifesavers, if it was me, but they used my energy like crazy.
Yes,
Either I could use magic, or It must be Merlin, watching his crystal ball. I
Yes,
grinned.
surely. It must be Merlin. He also lit the car on fire.
Yeah, of course.
He lit the freaking car on fire.
I grinned, thanking him in my thoughts. I ran as fast as I could up the rest of the hill, nearly fainted from the effort, and pulled myself up onto a metal ladder that was attached to the side of the aircraft carrier. And there I sat, tired, visible, and vulnerable, regaining my lost energy. After about 5 minutes, I was strong enough to stand, so I began to climb the ladder. I skirted the portholes I saw as I ascended my metal stairway. I can't read. Near the top, I planned my approach. Should I walk up there casually in my t-shirt and jeans and insist that I had been on the boat when it changed times? Should I keep my servant's tunic on and pretend to be from the castle? Perhaps not being seen would be the best option. But how could I possibly get across the deck of the ship without being spotted?
An enormous tank appeared on the deck of the ship, causing momentary confusion among the people on the ship. As Morgan unchained the newly arrived machine from the tank, I took my opportunity and leaped onto the deck of the ship, and, making a dash for the nearest hiding spot, the doorway into the boat. The nearest hiding spot, the doorway into the boat. This obviously wasn't very smart, and I crashed directly into an important-looking big person with a fancy outfit.
Important-looking big person.
Well, what do we have here? He taunted me, one-handedly picking me up by the back of my shirt. One of Morgan's servants milling about my ship. I'll have you beaten, you. He noticed my jeans and modern backpack under my tunic. Oh-ho! Got ourselves demoted, have we? Well, that won't do at all. He put me down and yanked off the tunic. Morgan, that old hag is taking over my ship, my crew, my time, and my life. Here we are sailing across the ocean, and then poof, this machine appears. This lady comes out and without a word of explanation begins casting magic spells on the ship and its weaponry. Then she introduces herself as Morgan Le Fay and says she needs us to fight for her against King Arthur. I says she's joking, and then she chains us to the machine, and we end up here. She says we have to fight her, we'll never get back home. But I don't trust the snake, not one bit. I don't think she'll ever let us all go back. Thank you for all this exposition. But what choice do we have? We can't start blasting her castle or her army, because my men are her army, and she's never in her castle. She's taken over the world, and she orders my men to do whatever she pleases. Some of them even like it. I won't stand having you demoted as a servant. It's outrageous.
Excuse me, sir. Are you not pleased with Morgan drafting you?
Oh, what was your first clue? Wow. I hate it. Why? Are you a spy for a wolf in sheep's clothing?
I love how you walk in and this man just like starts emotionally dumping on you. You're just like, I was taken from my home and everyone's being demoted and she's just, I don't think we're ever gonna go back home and we ever fight this weird battle, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, whoa, calm down. Well, I'm against Morgan too, so I guess we're on the same side. However, I'm not from your ship. I came from King Arthur's castle. Why are you telling him this?
Because apparently he is a trustworthy man.
So trustworthy. Don't ask how I ended up there. I'm spying for Merlin, I whispered. Yes, let me just tell you that I am a spy.
Well, why didn't you say so? He replied with a smile. Name's Crunch, and I'm captain of the ship. I guess you
Captain
can
Crunch.
say I'm Captain Crunch, but don't you even smile. He offered his hand. I took it and I shook it and took back the tunic after nearly getting my hand crushed by Captain Crunch's handshake.
I'm Evan. Do you know if everyone
I
here feels
love
the same way
Captain
you
Crunch.
do?
As I said, some are liking Morgan's usurp of power.
Give word to everyone who doesn't like Morgan to try to sabotage stuff, break things, and set her army back as much as possible. That is so descriptive, thank you.
Great battle strategies.
Sabotage stuff and break things.
What qualifies as stuff and what qualifies as things? It's an important distinction.
You gotta know.
Because I need to know how to sabotage the stuff but break the things, and I don't want to confuse the two. None of the twain shall meet, you know what I mean?
I gotta get to that time machine that exists. Captain Crunch, we have a time machine, by the way. And get Morgan out of there. I guess he knows because he got yeeted. I don't know what's happening.
You got it! Good luck. By the way, you need some new duds, he asked. I looked down at my bare feet.
Yeah, I do. Thanks. And good luck to you too, Captain. I hold him.
A moment later, I walked through the ship in my new shoes, getting stopped by several pro-Morgan guys.
Oh, Morgan.
Okay, I failed to talk my way out of trouble because I couldn't find a reason for being down so far in the ship.
Thank you for giving us that dialogue.
That was a great scene that I had to imagine.
Wow.
I dashed, outrunning them and stopping in a room where a lot of grenades were kept in boxes. Okay, I don't like where this is going.
Oh boy.
There was a porthole in the wall that looked out only a little bit above Morgan's castle walls. I grabbed a grenade, attempted to discover how it worked because I know what year a certain ship disappeared and what the title of the ship was and that it had the peace treaty for 1812 or whatever, but I don't know how to pull a pin on a grenade apparently. So I figure out how the grenade works before I was ready, and I threw it at the porthole and dived out the door, slamming it behind me just as it detonated. Apparently the blast had shaken loose the pins for some of the other grenades or something, because the moment after, half the grenades in the rooms detonated. The wall of the ship between me and the grenades wasn't strong enough to withstand the detonation. As the Morgan sympathizers flew around the corridor, the wall flew across the hallway and smashed into the other wall and the floor, leaving barely enough room for me to wiggle out. Yikes. I jumped back into the room and began activating and throwing the remaining grenades at the men behind me. First off, how did those survive the explosion? Second off, alright. They ran, and I grabbed a box of grenades and jumped out of the ship through the hole that had once been a portal. This is some more EJ art. Jumping out of American aircraft carrier, holding a box of grenades and chucking grenades behind me as I jump onto the castle wall in a medieval enchanted land of craziness. And I landed atop the castle wall. I began throwing the grenades at the weapons in the castle towards the window I jumped out of and at anyone who had weapons pointed at me. I dumped the grenades all over the wall and threw a few activated ones to the base of the wall and the top of it where the spilled ones were, and then I jumped off the 50-foot wall over the moat. So much for stealth, I thought.
Oh boy.
What stealth? The grenades all began to detonate, sending stones flying, and they blew a huge hole in the side of the wall. I was still falling as I watched, and great blocks of stone began to fall with me. The stones broke up the surface of the water, and I fell in right above a rock. This saved me from the impact of the water, as the hole in the water created by the rock closed in upon me and slowed me, rather than bringing me to a complete stop instantly. So that's why the surface tension was broken and didn't die immediately, because water acts like concrete when you hit it from too high. Because I am so big brained, I thought about these things because I'm a great writer. I'm kidding. However, another huge block was falling above me, and I got momentarily stuck, sinking between two giant stone blocks. I pushed myself free, but was already nearly out of breath, and I was 30 feet underwater with
3 feet.
It bothers me so much. I'm sorry. I have altered the sanctity with a shower of giant blocks raining down upon me. Bullets began piercing the water near the surface as well. I felt an adrenaline rush. There was no way I could survive this. I guess that's the end of the book then.
He's gonna
I
die.
couldn't swim fast enough to avoid another large rock, and it pushed me deeper and deeper.
Look into my eyes.
Deeper.
Deeper, closer.
And then we have a time skip.
Oh.
A part of it from Gwen's perspective. This is the first other perspective we've had in 75 pages. Way to introduce a new concept way late.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about
Congrats.
that. Gwen was relieved. Johann, Gwen, and Evan's dad had barely found a way across the border before a missile shot from the giant battleship towards a remote point in the distance. They whistled, hearing another whistle to answer their cry before a wall of flame blasted
Was it a
around
whistle
them.
of love?
Yes.
Has it talked about how much she loves EJ or something?
Definitely.
Great.
They each whistled again just to make sure Evan had heard.
Lowercase numbers.
They each whistled again just to make sure Evan had heard, alerting the bad guys as to their location.
Oh, goody.
A few missiles headed their way.
A few missiles, no
Just
big
a
deal.
few missiles, and they ducked behind a rock to avoid detection. The missiles didn't hurt them, and they started planning. Well, at least he's safe, Evan's dad grinned. They were now standing behind a large boulder in the field outside the entrance to a newly dug burrow that went 10 feet deep, then across the border. You two smell something? Evan's dad questioned.
Yeah, it smells like burning rubber.
Oh gosh, back into the tunnel, guys! The top layer of dirt is enchanted. It's burning hot as lava, Gwen yelled, angry at herself for not expecting an enchantment.
Already?
The ground is lava, guys.
Ah!
They dived back into the tunnel as their shoes caught fire.
Oh!
Hurriedly, they took off their shoes and left them in the tunnel as they resumed digging their tunnel toward the castle. They shallowed their tunnel to about 3 feet below the surface and 3 feet tall.
Alright,
There's so many threes. The 3 of them
Sorry.
side by side, laboring by hand to reach the castle.
We are the
dirt
mold
was
people.
remarkably easy to dig, but it got beneath their fingernails. Oh no, it is beneath my fingernails. Oh, what will I do? Then again, my fingernails are longer than theirs. Oh, a reference to her spiky nails.
Don't you think we should see how far we've dug now? Johan asked about an hour later. I'm exhausted and I need new motivation.
Alright, let's dig straight up and peek out through the top, Gwen decided, unwilling to admit that she was rather tired too. They dug for several minutes, finally reaching the top. We're there, Johan announced in a hushed... Oh, we're there, Johan announced in a hushed voice, poking his head out of the top of the tunnel. Gwen and Evan's dad. I love that he's just Evan's dad.
He doesn't have his real name. He doesn't have an identity other than EJ.
Yeah, he's just the father that does nothing. Gwen and Evan's dad clambered out of the tunnel, blinking in the sunlight. They had emerged about 2 feet from the side of the castle, 4 feet from the what?
The Experverse side.
What is that?
That's the weird ship that apparently disappeared in the
okay.
Bermuda Triangle.
Gwen wiped the dirt from her pointless glasses. Pointless? Oh, what?
She doesn't really
Which
need
did not
glasses.
magnify anything at
They're in
all.
disguise,
She
probably.
hated wearing those horrid things. As soon as they stood on the ground, they began dancing around again, remembering too late about the broiling ground?
It doesn't really broil. It's more like burns. But alright, sure.
Johan tripped over a rock and fell headfirst back into the tunnel. Evan's dad had been trying to climb the wall of the castle and was very surprised when it slid open, revealing an entrance to the castle. Gwen and Evan's dad quickly jumped into the... I wasn't paying attention to what I was reading.
Apparently they just opened a secret passage because Johan tripped on a rock and... okay.
You know,
That's convenient. Why not? Sure.
We love plot contrivances.
Plot contrivances.
Gwen and Evan's dad quickly jumped into the passageway. Johan then crawled out of the tunnel and into the
I'm
passage.
gonna need you to get all the way off my back about that.
Amazing, Gwen whispered. That rock you tripped on must have opened the secret passageway. How convenient!
How
She said
amazing!
to Johan while massaging her bare feet. Should we go in and see if we can find Morgan and the machine, or should we go to the battleship and hope Evan meets us there?
We have got to check this out. Not only is it cool and a way into the castle, and potentially a way to Morgan, but it's the only way we can go without having our feet burned to a crisp, Johan whispered.
We have to go meet
That was not a
Evan.
whisper.
We told him we would. What will we do if we don't meet up with him? What will he think happened to us? Evan's dad argued.
Evan probably thinks we're dead. What has it been, 95 hours since we heard his whistle?
95 hours.
What has it been, 95 hours? Probably, give or take.
He still might be there, and we have to get him. You never know what might have happened, Evan's dad hissed.
Exactly my point. He could already be dead.
Shut up, you two, Gwen hissed. He's not dead. Now let's go this way. I'm sure we'll find Evan sooner or later, she ordered, walking into the gloom. Johan
I
and
like
Evan's...
having perspectives from other people.
Yeah, that should have been a thing from...
We get some characterization for anyone other than I did this, I did that, I'm so cool.
I jumped out windows throwing grenades. I survived falling 50 feet.
Carried an entire box of grenades. You get a grenade, you get a grenade, everybody gets a grenade.
Oh my goodness. Johan and Evan's dad looked at each other and quickly followed. They began walking along a dark corridor lit by the entrance behind them. Suddenly, the stone door behind them closed by itself, plunging them into darkness.
Ah, that really hurt my jaw.
With no
Ow.
other option, they continued walking slowly along the pitch-black passage, one hand on the wall, the other grabbing the other's hands. They eventually came to a point where lit torches were placed in brackets along the wall, and the going became easier. They came to a fork in the corridor.
The tough get going.
Wah! And Johan and Evan's dad instantly began arguing.
My
Gwen's
jaw's
stress level
crunchy
began
now.
to...
I'm hearing crunches.
Is it Captain?
Oh no.
Gwen's stress level began to rise. If they don't stop fighting, Gwen thought, I'm going to kill them.
But then I remembered how young they were.
This way, it's got more torches, Evan's dad decided.
No, the right fork. More torches means more people. More people means more chance of being caught, Johan replied.
We can't see that way, and we don't know what's over there, Evan's dad whined.
For all we know, those torches were lit by the fire-breathing dragon that's over there.
Left!
Right!
Enough!
Okay!
Where there's light, there's people. Where there's people, there's Morgan. Where there's Morgan, there's the machine. And there's Evan waiting for us. We go left, Gwen decided.
Bruh.
Evan's dad smiled smugly as Gwen began walking down the passage, followed by Evan's dad and Johan. Johan narrowed his eyes and pantomimed. How do you pantomime extreme dislike? It's not saying anything specific.
Fane's vomit.
As though Dad were a disgusting bug that he had just peeled off his shoe. That was not a shoe, that was a shoulder.
I didn't say a shoe until after I was already doing the motion.
Cool it, you two, Gwen hissed. This is serious. We have to work as a team to get the machine back. Evan's dad and Johan stood in silence for a
We
moment.
will not be working as a team today.
After about 5 minutes of walking, Johan, Gwen, and Evan's dad came upon a chamber of secrets with yellow walls and a black floor that smelled suspiciously of...
Yellow walls.
How does something smell like dried blood? I mean, I can understand blood, but dried blood? Okay, whatever. Several skeletons were scattered throughout the room. The torches along the walls sent flickering shadows upon the floor, which was covered with many fiendish torture devices.
Oh no!
There were tables fitted with straps and spikes, whips and maces, wheels and ropes and chains and weapons, with all manner of devices designed for prolonged, excruciating pain.
Sounds fun.
Gwen stopped
I
at
love
the entrance of the
crucifixion.
room, and Johan and Evan's dad bumped into her.
I'm guessing that door leads upstairs, Johan theorized, pointing across the maze of painful instruments to a wooden door set into a yellow stone door frame.
Yes, but I would strongly recommend caution in this room, and if we go through it, we should go fast, Gwen suggested worriedly. She did not like their chances of success if they were attacked in this room.
Why? Evan's dad asked. Is there someone in here? Evan's dad, looking around and seeing no one, took a few tentative steps into the room. His bare feet cracked the layer of dried blood that was on top of the Yellowstone floor. Evan's dad made a face and began tiptoeing to avoid cracking the layer of blood again. Gwen cautioned him just before Johan dashed as fast as he could through a pathway between the devices, rapidly looking to either side of him for anyone. He made it to the other wall without problem, and he turned back towards Gwen and Evan's dad. Gwen was muttering to herself about Johan being an idiot when Evan's dad dashed to join Johan. Gwen sighed and quickly surveyed the room. There was no one in sight. Gwen decided to risk it, and she ran to Evan's dad and Johan.
Open this door fast, she told Johan, but there was no need. Before Johan even touched the handle, the door burst open and hit Johan smack in the center of his forehead.
Bonk!
He then fell and hit the back of his head on the floor rather hard.
Oh,
Another
man.
concussion!
Yay! That's like the 6th one?
Castle guards poured through the door, and Evan's dad quickly turned around and raised his hands in surrender as he trotted away.
As he trotted away.
Fearfully hoping they would see his
surrender before they heard him. Ba, 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 ba.
Gwen followed his lead running, but by no means giving up. She full out sprinted towards the tunnel, pumping her arms for more momentum. Gwen noted with dismay that more guards were pouring from the tunnel they had arrived from as well.
Oh no, where did they all come from and why did we not hear them coming?
Where did they come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Yeah.
If she could only reach the tunnel. No, it was impossible. There were too many guys to plow through. Gwen raised her hands. They had been captured. Hopefully Evan was having better luck. And now we return to Evan jumping out windows.
Probably. Hey, it's a chapter break. Wow! Alright, do we want to call it there for the night? Are you tired? So thank you all for coming out to this stream and for listening to more of Super EJ! And the Chronicles of Malifart, or whatever his voice is. Moldifart.
Moldifart!
God bless. Hope you all have a good night. Love y'all. See you guys next week or whatever I stream next. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Love y'all.